Hello and welcome to the Fake Nerd 2022 annual, our 6th anniversary podcast special, friends. I am Sparks Witty. I am joined, as always, by Brandon T. McClure.
Hello, everyone.
And, of course, Ben Magnet.
6 years, baby.
And it just wouldn't be a podcast without Ryan Eliopoulos.
Top of the afternoon to you, gents.
Still the morning. It's close.
For about 44, not 45.
Actually, I have a real question. Real question.
Yeah.
If it's 11:59, is it still technically morning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always figured like morning to mean like 7, 8 a.m. because like when it's like 11, everyone's awake doing shit. So like but like technically I'm awake in the morning.
Right.
So
The thing is, like, we don't have a word for between morning and afternoon. So everything from like 10 to noon just has to exist as morning.
we can never find an intro.
We haven't created the word for it.
Good. Don't.
That's somebody's
Because I'm awake in the morning.
Hold on. I leave that gift to the future.
There is a term for it. Late morning.
Late morning.
It's still morning though.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not mad. So that's all I want to get off the table. That's
if I'm taking a meeting at 10 or 11, the first thing to say is, "Are you available late morning?" And I know that means 10 or 11.
Smart.
Or just say, "Are you available at 10 or 11?"
No.
Or you call it by what a few people I know their favorite time, brunch time.
But that's associated with like getting food.
Yeah,
like,
that's food though.
But we can't let the brunchers take that term beyond what it is.
We can't let them win.
Because then breakfast ends early and I can't have it.
Can't let the bruncher. Wow.
6 years of this delicious content, friends. Morning or noon or afternoon. What is it?
Did we just declare war on brunchers?
We did.
I'll every one of them.
I wanted to say, I'm so happy with your restraint, because last year we did mention that every year without fail, you have said, "Wow, can you believe it's been da-da-da years?" And you didn't do that this year.
I thought about it, but
I know you did. I know you. I saw it. I saw it in your eye.
I knew if I was going to say it, I was going to get some shit for it. So I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like that today.
But when you really think about it, though,
can you believe it?
Can you?
I mean, damn, 6 years. Holy crap.
I can believe it. I'm right here.
We got it. Everyone playing six-year bingo. We got it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not going to be, if you tuned in at any point for our 5th anniversary special, this is not going to be that show. That was extraordinarily special, and we did not put the same kind of gigantic work into this one.
Let's rephrase. Sparks didn't.
Yeah, that's so true.
Let's be real. The MVP.
That is a 4-hour special. That 3 hours of it is us playing a very long game. It's great, and we won't do it again for a little while. Save those moments.
By a little while, he probably means for the 10th if we make it that far.
I want to take the moment to say that that episode is still probably one of my favorite things we've ever done.
Brandon, that's a question.
No, it's unrelated. I didn't put that as the link. It didn't count it. But I just want to say that if you haven't seen that and you're here for the 6th, you should check out that anniversary. This is also, I wanted to mention, this is also the first anniversary we've done where we have not been together.
It's true.
No, that's not true.
It was the 4th.
We weren't together for the 4th either.
Has the pandemic been that long?
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, the reason why we are not together this time is because we are all scattered to the wind.
Right. It was just too hard to coordinate for schedules.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the 4th we were deep in the throes of the shelter in place moment.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
So wow. we were all virtual for that one, baby.
Yeah, this one we got all the fake nerds are scattered all throughout the state.
Yeah, one state. Single state.
Well, that's true, though. I mean, like, Ryan is no longer in Southern California. The three of us who are in Southern California are each an hour away.
Ben and I are more like a half hour apart, but yeah.
Let's just say for the sake of
okay, yeah. Yeah, Ben and I are an hour away.
I mean,
you know what,
Sparks? Let's be real. With traffic, it is an hour away.
It depends on the time of day you're traveling.
Yeah,
but thanks to technology, we're here together. We didn't have to quit the podcast. We have technology.
I'm really grateful we kept on that thing, but I will not let my off the hook. I said for the sake of geometry, not the sake of geography. So
Let me think about this for a second.
I'm not gonna let myself off the hook. I made
That's
it boo-boo.
fair. That's me thinking too much about what we're doing here today and not paying enough attention to you. You called me on it, and I appreciate you calling me on it. I need to listen more.
When Brandon said for the sake of geometry, not geography, my brain instantly went to that butterfly in the sky meme that's been on TikTok recently.
Oh,
Butterfly in the sky.
It's the theme song.
Yeah, like the remix of Green Rainbow. It's like when you're trying to things like butterfly in the sky.
And it's a bunch of just math.
Smoking makes me high.
Okay, friends. So we're here to do our 6th anniversary special. Just a quick overview of what you're going to get in this juicy content today. We're just going to do some gabbing with each other, pretty much like we've done. Maybe throw out some things we just want to talk about. And then we're going to talk about the Avengers 10-year anniversary and the relationship that has to the MCU and to us. And then we're going to do some questions. And then we're just going to talk about like stuff coming ahead for the show. And then we're going to chill and get out of here. So
get out of here.
Here we go, friends. Does anybody have anything that is any kind of something they want to talk about that we have not been able to talk about on the show before?
Have we talked about Elden Ring at all?
I don't think it's gotten to come up.
I don't think we've gotten there yet.
Let's start the 2-hour Elden Ring subsection right now.
Actually, there was one thing that came to my mind recently that I'm surprised we didn't. It was literally recently as to this recording, and I'm surprised it wasn't on any of the sheets when we were recording this show like 2 weeks ago. But that Winnie the Pooh horror movie, now that Winnie the Pooh is in the public domain, like screenshots for Honey and Blood came out.
Okay, so the reason why that hasn't been in the rundown lately is because I'm waiting for a trailer.
Which is wise, but at the same time,
no, it's
holy shit, guys!
It is the first instance, very quickly too, of something entering the public domain, and it's like we're making a movie out of it, and it's the exact opposite of what the thing is. Like very quickly. So yes, I am eagerly awaiting a trailer. I hope it's good and not just being made just because they can.
Just it feels like it's being made for the gimmick more than it's. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, like it could be like the premise is a cool idea of like these people went missing in the woods and like they became animals or whatever. I'm okay with that idea.
Isn't it? It's like Christopher Robin left, and Pooh and Piglet became feral again because they ran out of food, so they started eating like Eeyore and Owl
but they're people, so that's what I'm curious about.
No, but I don't think they're people. I think they are Piglet and Pooh, but because of the live action constraints, because this doesn't have a budget,
he's just wearing a mask.
It's just wearing a mask.
Interesting. If they're okay, all right, maybe we'll see.
That's what I heard. I don't know.
No, that's probably right. Yeah.
I have a actor friend who's spent the past probably 12 years at this point working on a play that utilizes the Winnie the Pooh characters to puts them in a different context and deeper analyzes like what they are representing as far as mental health. And it's like it's not a bad script. I saw like an early version of it and only a piece of it, but it was good. So he's been like, now he's like really ramping up to like trying to get it so that he can sign with releasing and get it out into some test theaters and things like that. But he's been like cooking on that one for a while, watching that copyright date get closer and closer.
The thing that I thought was always funny about the thing where because like this is really Winnie the Pooh is really the first major IP to enter copyright in our lifetime. And certainly because like we've lived with like Zorro and Sherlock Holmes in public domain for like decades. And so like Winnie the Pooh was like the first one that like it was the first like major one to really go into the public domain. Right. And it was really interesting seeing people very confused about what that meant. Because everyone's like, well, wait, but Disney has Winnie the Pooh. And so like someone like really succinctly was just like, and I think Sparks retweeted this when it happens, like very succinctly, like if Winnie the Pooh has a shirt that is owned by Disney, if he does not, you're fine.
Specifically, if he has the red shirt. If he has any other shirt, he's fine.
He's got a maroon shirt, murderer.
If he's got a blue shirt, that's fine.
Sonic because that is technically a creation of Disney.
Right. Yeah,
It's
just
almost-
basically
honestly,
if you're
It's almost
Go
like Ugly Sonic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
yeah, it's basically if you're going too close to specifically the design for the Disney one, then yeah, you gotta change it. Yeah, Peter Pan, I think is the only other big thing that's been like in the public domain, like our entire lives
Yeah.
and prevalently.
Because anybody can do something like that. Like Pinocchio also.
You can do it. You can do anything with Peter Pan as long as you're taking like inspiration from the novel, not adapting like the stage shows. The stage shows I think are still specifically under copyright.
Right.
And then so is the Disney one, obviously.
I mean, Hook was because of Peter Pan being in public domain, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes. Same with every other Peter Pan movie that's come out since then. That older one that came out in the early 2000s, and then the Pan one that came out with Hugh Jackman.
Oh man, you guys remember that movie?
I've seen
I do.
trailer.
Wasn't he singing Nirvana?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
That was
all I
one of the
remember-
cooler. That was one of the cooler thoughts I thought about that. Was the singing Nirvana thing about Pan. That's one of my favorite things about it, because the concept was that like because of where Neverland exists, it like exists in a nexus beyond space and time, so things can bleed through. So it's like that they'd heard Nirvana, but they hadn't like so like things could like incorporate into their culture. But like I thought that was a cool idea. Like the idea that Neverland exists outside of the time sphere that you think like Earth is living in.
Dimension. Wow.
Okay.
Oh my god. Garrett Hedlund?
Yep.
Was Hook.
Strong
Yeah.
man. Strong
Yeah.
man himself.
That's right. I remember that. Man. He was pretty good in that, if I remember. So he had this really funny voice, and I don't think he became Hook at the end of the movie. I think like the idea was going to be a sequel.
Yeah.
Jonathan Hookster.
They don't make him Hook in the movie.
I remember that came out around the same time that Rhys Ifans did a Peter Pan miniseries on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yes, that's true. I forgot about that one.
Where he owns the Lost Boys in like a London home, and then they go to like an orphanage, and then they like get all taken to Neverland.
I don't remember that one. I do remember the Wizard of Oz miniseries with Zooey Deschanel.
I don't remember that one.
I don't remember
Wait,
that
let me
one.
make sure it's Zooey Deschanel.
Both of these things have been in Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
Oh god, the Peter Pan thing from Once Upon a Time. I remember watching that.
Ben,
season.
I will never forget Once Upon a Time when Rumpelstiltskin said to the little boy, "Hello, Papa." I will never forget that.
Tin Man, starring Zooey
Yeah.
Deschanel, Alan
Holy
Cumming,
shit.
Neil McDonough, Richard Dreyfuss. Wow.
That's right.
I haven't seen that picture in a
Terrible.
while. I knew what you were talking about, but
I couldn't remember Zooey Deschanel. Like I thought maybe it was Tin Man because I remember Neil McDonough specifically being in that.
Oh man.
I have
Sci-Fi Channel, man.
no. They have ebbs and flows of great quality.
Yeah.
I have one thing that I just thought of that I didn't think of before. We were covering all the big X-Men stuff, and then we stopped because of pandemic and reading stuff, and even I fell behind. But now that Hickman's gone, I do eventually want us to finish the Inferno era, because it's not, we don't have much more than what you guys read, because Hickman left after Inferno. So like we catch up one day in like in a year or so. Like it's a 4-issue miniseries, so it's not too bad. But I'd like you guys to know where that saga goes, because y'all were so invested for a time.
You're saying like do Inferno the way we did X of Swords.
Yeah, but it's also it's only 4 issues, but also like you would need to catch up on everything else. Otherwise, you won't have no idea what's going on.
Right, for sure.
But I do want us to eventually, because we were so good about doing that.
Basically put a button on it.
Hickman's era, and then it'll be a nice little button on everything.
Yeah, I hear.
I'd really like to do that. Actually, I don't know. I'm very far behind. Like I'm still after the Hellfire Saga, because I was gonna catch up, but then I started reading Thor.
I'm not talking about anytime soon.
I know, but I would like to. I would like to do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I agree. I still have the comics. I just want to read.
Me too.
I need to read them.
I'm not going to say anything about that part.
You can read them on Marvel Unlimited at this point.
No. That's not,
that.
that's not the problem. The problem is that big ass stack that's next to my bed right now.
Well, see, if you just focused on just the X-Men instead of the other books you're also not reading, then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're also not reading X-Men books too.
You're right. I'm not.
So
Yeah, that'd be fun. I really like to do that. I always kind of lamented that I didn't keep up with it. And if we could like find a time to get caught up, because I know Ryan, you're caught up. But like for the
Mostly,
three of us, like I think that would be a good time.
Yeah.
We can do it like we did with Exo Swords, where we could do like, kind of catch up, like everything that we did. We talked about like most everything that we
leading up to Inferno, and then we do an episode on
Sure.
Inferno.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it doesn't
I
have to be book by book, because again, they'll be talking about like 100 issues, but just like
Yeah.
where all the characters that are important are, the state of the world before and after and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. I'd like to do that.
love it.
I'm
Love
glad
it.
to see that the X-Men line is still going strong, even though Hickman's stepped out.
If anything, because there was a period, and it's not like it's bad, but like there was a period where people are like, I don't know how I'm feeling about the line. But we got Kieran Gillen is leading the books now with the Immortal X-Men, and Al Ewing's on X-Men Red. So the line is stronger than it's ever been,
Sure.
because each of them are writing 1 to 2 books.
Yeah.
So like Vita Ayala's New Mutants is like, that's like the best New Mutants book ever made. That book's gonna win awards. Like that book is not just good, it's actually progressive with having non-binary trans characters and actually have them on the page. Something that like, even though X-Men is all about that, like they don't actually do. It's very surface level. So like Vita's doing the real work on that book, and I bless them for it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that like, however weird or complicated behind the scenes, like the X-Men stuff got, once Hickman stepped away, that they didn't just abandon having all these X titles doing this.
Oh yeah,
arc.
the ship was too far gone.
Yeah.
Luckily they did find another captain that I think is just as worthy. Like Kieran Gillen's the best.
For sure.
Yeah, I think when I think Hickman was smart to kind of be like, I want to move on, but they don't. And we talked about when he was leaving. I think it was really smart that he set down a very good roadmap. He set down a really good just kind of platform for everything to be built off of, and it can sustain the X-Men line, as we've seen, because he's no longer on the books, as we've seen pretty much indefinitely. It will have to end because comics are cyclical, but it can go for a very long time, and he didn't need to. I think they were kind of smart to be like, we can keep playing in this. We don't need to kind of rush to the end right away.
Absolutely. And the stuff with if you're watching this, listening to this, and you haven't read X-Men in the last couple of years, the X-Men are immortal, and now they live on Mars, and they're the rulers of the universe, and Storm is the queen of the universe. So the X-Men are the coolest I've ever been. And it was when their leader guy left, Jonathan Hickman, people are really scared, but they got someone just as good, in my opinion. And like the line is just getting stronger and more unique, and they're just introducing so many new characters that will last for generations. It's a gold mine. We're in a comics gold mine.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Even though I'm not caught up.
Well, you've read 3 years of it, so like it's good.
Yeah, I'd really like to do that. We should plan to do that.
Future.
We talked a lot about all the Star Wars news that came out last week, but one thing we didn't touch on, and it's like not that huge of a deal, which is why I was like, we don't need to talk about this there, but like I think we can here, is that just because I feel it was an inevitability, the Galaxy's Edge in the parks is no longer held to the timeline.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh,
so like now you can go and like Boba Fett and Din Djarin can be there, and it's not trying to still be in the existence of specifically between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
So like different people can appear, because that was supposed to be the whole idea up to this point, was that you go to Batuu and you're going specifically to a time period between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker.
that makes sense. I just never. That 100% makes sense now with all the characters that I've seen and who is there. Like I just assumed, kind of like Avengers World, it's just like the Avengers are here.
Right.
I honestly prefer it being just Star Wars land, so I could see everybody.
That's I think that Avengers has a lot to do with it, where like people have been positively responding to just being able to see the characters in the park, and like any of the characters, regardless of if they're currently alive or a good guy or a bad guy or whatever's going on.
Have you seen the Wanda face character?
Yeah, and
cute.
so like having them out has, I think, made them like, oh, we should be doing this more with Star Wars characters.
I think it's really smart. I didn't like immediately think about that when I when I saw that, because I saw that Boba Fett and Fennec Shand are going to be at Galaxy's Edge. I didn't quite register that that's what that meant. But I'm really happy they decided to change their mind on that.
Yeah, so they've decided that like Batu, they're not like trying to do something where like they're going to make sure you have a specific timeline experience, but they are saying that like, you know, all of these characters could have visited Batu at any time and you can encounter all of them because you are visiting Batu at any point in the timeline.
Yeah.
And so like without being that, I think that the part of the logic was because the rides, both of the rides are specifically set in that time period, that they wanted to make everything feel of a piece.
Yeah.
Sure.
I get it. I think that, you know, we did do that and now that time can be done.
Yeah, I think while a really good idea, I do think it limits the fun that you can have with a space like that.
100%.
Yeah, I think you have to do like, you know, you kind of have to think of it like Star Tours.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Star Tours, it doesn't exist in a time period.
Right.
You can go anywhere, be with anyone. You can start the. I don't know if this is still the case because I've been in Star Trek.
Technically, it exists in a time period once you're in it and it's decided what you're doing.
Yeah. Sure, but you can go from
what time you're in.
Sure, but you can go from Naboo to Crate.
Sure,
theoretically.
Right, but you're going to Naboo during that time period.
Sure, but still, like the idea is that it's at any point in the Star Wars timeline.
Yeah,
and I guess they were kind of thinking that they could probably get away with it because they weren't moving Star Tours to Galaxy's Edge. But I'm glad that they're just kind of like, you know what, this is too much effort. We don't get to play with certain face characters, and now if we just let loose, we can actually bring these characters in. And
like Obi-Wan's happening right now, and like every time there's a Marvel show on, those characters are in the park like the day the show premieres.
Yeah,
like the fact that there's not an Obi-Wan or a Vader walking around is like, just come on, why not?
Well, there's Vader, but Vader's over in Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Because there's the Star Wars section, the Star Wars launch bay that's in Tomorrowland. That's where Vader's been showing up to this point. So Vader's there. He's just not in Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
I'm just saying Vader could visit Batu.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of the face characters, and like with Boba Fett and Fennec Shand showing up over in Galaxy's Edge, it also might be a little bit easier, so that way you don't have to constantly go from one end of the park to the other end of the park to go like see all the face characters. Like you don't have to go just to because like what Sparks was saying, a lot of face characters like Vader, Chewbacca, and Boba Fett, they just were in the launch bay, which used to have interventions. They were just there. That's the only place you could see them. Whereas First Order Stormtroopers and Kylo, Rey, and Chewbacca again, they were over in Galaxy's Edge. So the fact that we can just like go to Galaxy's Edge and see Boba Fett and Fennec Shand walking around, I'm cool with that. I can dig it.
Question that the answer could be literally decades from now. Do you think they ever move Star Tours to put it in the Star Wars land, or is it too ingrained where it is? And I'm talking about even the future.
Yeah,
like
no, I'm with you. I think it's too ingrained where it is.
Too ingrained. It's not moving.
Yeah.
It's staying put. I feel like with Star Tours, it's kind of like the Haunted Mansion spider situation, whereas it's just too much work and it's too much money to move. What, like, you guys know about the spider, right? Where it's the glass pane.
I don't.
Well, back in the 70s, a guy on acid was on Haunted Mansion, and during the ballroom scene, freaked out, pulled out a snub nose 34, and shot it.
Hell yeah!
So the spider, the bullet hole is essentially, it looks like a spider web. So instead of taking the entire pane of glass out, because you have to dig, because it's outside the berm, they have to dig. It's this whole big operation. And thankfully, it doesn't completely ruin the effect. So what Disney does is the path of least resistance, just slap a spider over it. So it's covering the bullet hole.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to confidently say that sometime in the future they won't. Because I do think there is a world where someone takes over. Bob Chapek leaves. Someone's like, hey, what the fuck is this? Sorry, what the hell is this? is this doing here and not there? I do think that 50 years.
Yeah,
that it's moved.
I'll put it this way. This is why I don't think it'll happen. The underground spacing that would be required to put Star Tours in that area does not exist backstage. Mm-hmm. So they would have to gut part of what is currently Batu in order to do it.
Mhm.
And I don't think that they would do that.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of work and money that they don't need to do. And if they were going to do it, I think they'd just put a different Star Wars ride in Batu rather than move that one, because
Yeah.
it does perfectly fine where it is. I think it's also 35 years. This is his 35th year anniversary, by the way. 35 years. I don't think they move it just because of history at this point.
Yeah,
God, 35
that makes
years
sense.
of Star Wars. Holy shit!
I didn't know it was 35. That's crazy.
I
I don't have a problem with it being there and everything. It's just, now that they have an entire Star Wars space, I'm sure there's people thinking like, why is the Star Wars ride not in Star Wars Land? Like, there are people who don't care about Star Wars. I'm sure fighting that fight. You know what I mean?
In Disney World, it's not in Batu, but it is right next to it.
Yeah.
So, you kind of get the synergy there. And so I can see, because they have that they wouldn't change it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas, because Hollywood Studios, it's like right next door. So I mean, okay, close enough there. But fortunately, California, it's been I feel like Star Tours has been such a Tomorrowland staple that I think it's just like way too much money and way too much effort just to move it out of Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Do we think that Disney, I'm given the same time period, 50, 70 years.
Uh-huh.
Do we think that Disney ever redoes the original lands?
No.
I think Tomorrowland will eventually get a facelift to look better.
Oh, for sure. Sorry. I guess I should be more specific. I don't think the classic rides ever leave. I don't think the lands ever change. I think that you can change like the aesthetic look of the lands a bit. You'll update them. They've done that before. And I think they will continue to do that. But in Disneyland, because it's Disneyland, they will leave like the core of it as is.
See, I'm not necessarily saying that we could probably see like Tomorrowland get replaced with Gloop-de-Glop Land, but like I'm wondering if maybe if they like do a major overhaul of Tomorrowland to, because like it's still the far off future of 1986. Like, do they eventually in like 50 years be like, it's the far off future of 2199?
I
can see that.
Yeah, I think so, actually. I think I'm not as Disney land as you guys are, even though I've been like, there is the one like Tomorrowland ride where like the people like spin, it's like an old ride, like they're like rocket ships or whatever.
Oh, Astro Orbiter.
Yeah, like that's probably an old ride, right? I'm guessing that's old as hell.
Yeah.
Okay. That ride will never go away. That ride will get a huge facelift to look incredible. It'll be pristine looking. It'll look like it is the future. It'll still be that kid's ride. They're not going to get rid of it, but it will get an HD remaster.
I'll say I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line, Brandon, they do put in a ride that is trying to be like the future, actually tomorrow, right? But I think at the same time they'll make sure they're keeping things that are the perceived future of 1986, because nostalgia will always work.
Yeah,
that's true.
And Disneyland specifically, that park trades in nostalgia.
Yeah, and also the thing of history of like, the historical importance of it too is like cool.
Yeah.
At a certain point, does it become a historical landmark?
Ooh, that's a good.
And then Disneyland can't change it.
That's on their own property though. That's a weird situation.
Sure, but I mean, like, but like that still would fall in like with its relationship with the city. Would the city of Anaheim say that's a historical landmark, you can't change it now?
I wonder if
like I could see it's usually about 100. After 100, that's when you have that conversation. So I could see we get past 2050 and they have a conversation and they're like, okay, so now the building where Walt's apartment was, which is the fake firehouse at the front, that's a historical landmark. You can't change that building now.
And then Disneyland,
and that means that you can't update the look. You can only try to maintain it and keep it in pristine condition as is.
Well, that will be a different story, because then we're 150 years in the future or whatever. So like, what did Walt Disney look like in the 50s, in the 1950s or whatever? Like then like historical stuff. Oh yeah.
At that point, Disneyland is just floating above the ground.
Yeah. I wonder though when they hit that point where they hit like, if they try and change something and the city steps in and says, no, you can't.
Honestly, if they were to put I would say that if they were to put any historical landmark on any sort of building, it would probably be the firehouse.
I agree.
Because really, there's nothing in there. It's just the fire engine, and you see the light. I guess in certain tours, guests, if you're doing a VIP tour, guests can go up into the apartment, which has been kept in the same condition as Walt was in since the 50s. So yeah, I could see that. But everything else, I would say it's fair, or not fair game, but I would to answer Brand's question, yeah, they would probably update it, like redo paint jobs, maybe update the aesthetics a little bit here and there. Like Sparks was saying with the 1980 something facelift of Fantasyland, because before Fantasyland was like a medieval style jousting tournament with flags and banners, whereas today it's like, no, this is like an actual medieval village, so to speak. Whereas the rides actually look like they're part of the castle and not just like tents or anything like it did when it opened in 55. So, and also, yeah, Tomorrowland, I could easily see, like, Tomorrowland's gone through a few facelifts over the years, so I could easily see them constantly updating Tomorrowland, whereas Adventureland, Frontierland, and New Orleans Square, just a few new paint jobs, maybe a few updates here and there, but nothing too major outside of Critter Country getting the new Splash Mountain ride, which I'm still excited for.
Brandon, are you reading about historical landmarks?
No. Am I supposed to be?
No. I just wanted to know because I saw your eyes kind of scrolling. I was like, if he's looking up, if this is a thing. Like, I just wanted to know.
That's how I think.
Yeah, gotcha. No, it's okay.
If Tomorrowland made $1 billion, I feel like that place would probably be getting a paint job sooner rather than
the movie?
Yeah.
In a better world, it did.
Yeah, 100%. In a better world where that movie was successful, Tomorrowland would look different right now. I 100% guarantee you.
I think still we'd still be living in a space where they kind of do both. They retain some of the old and bring new. Yeah. I think that dynamic will always exist with, I think, Tomorrowland more than anything else. They'll always try and keep the idea of like
retro future,
and then predictive future.
Well, that's what Disneyland Paris is doing. And actually, one of the reasons why I'm really excited to go to Disneyland Paris this summer is because when they were building their Tomorrowland, they decided to keep it steampunk. Like
yes, I've heard of this.
Yeah, like their version, and also I've heard their version of Space Mountain is like the best version because it's like a Jules Verne shoot to the moon type of cannon where you actually get shot where you're on an incline and you get shot out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, that was a really good idea. And why didn't we do that?
Because we didn't think of it yet.
No, we did though. We thought of cannons shooting people to space before we thought of just launching them from a platform, and we never considered that could work.
Oh, I thought you were talking about why we didn't do that for our Space Mountain.
No, I'm talking about the fact that we had multiple fictitious fiction novels and movies about getting launched out of a cannon and being thrown into space, and that was how space travel was going to be a thing. And NASA and all their wisdom was just like, you know what's better? Just a big jet engine launching you from the ground.
I trust the science.
Yeah,
I don't. I want to see step by step. Disprove it to me, NASA.
I'll trust the hidden figures.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if any rocket scientist is listening to this, it's like physics, my guy.
Look,
but I do like your idea, Brent.
If a little,
they got the Nautilus. Nautilus is in Paris. That's awesome. The steampunk thing is so cool.
If a little girl can figure it out over the moon, then I get it, Brandon.
Yeah,
anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it. We could do it right now.
I'm all right.
As long as there are spirits up in space to catch us, so we don't fall back into the atmosphere.
Of course. It's like in Brave Little Toaster when they go to space and all the balloons are on Mars.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
What a pull, right?
That you know what? When I lost a balloon as a kid, I'm like, well, it's going to space now because I just thought if you just float, you just keep floating. Gravity didn't have escape velocity. And there's a hold on me yet.
Yeah, and there's a society of balloons on Mars.
That's the sequel to It. It's in space because the balloon goes to space. Pennywise has to go to space.
Pennywise in space is definitely. Hold on, Pennywise in space is definitely a movie they have thought about.
Oh my god, I'm just imagining an astronaut is like floating in space and it's like, what's a balloon doing here? And you just see Pennywise. I would die.
Pennywise swimming in zero gravity. Oh my god. Or trying to swim in zero gravity, but he's just in one place going.
Listen, every 20. No, that's Jeepers Creepers. Never mind.
That's 27 years, yeah.
Wait, is it both Jeepers Creepers and It?
I think
do that
Jeepers
thing.
Creepers is 23. It is
Yeah, they
27.
both do the time separation thing. It's not the same amount of time, but yeah,
Alright, I see you. Inspiration.
Did that new Jeepers Creepers movie ever come out?
it's later this year.
Oh,
Oh yeah, not by the bad guy.
Not by the bad guy. Yeah.
Cool.
I have one. I've it's a recent one though.
Okay.
Recently, the director of Top Gun Maverick talked about how Tron 3 was
Oh, I see. Okay, I know where you're going.
it's ready to go,
And
Disney scrapped it.
right.
Now Disney is not going to come out right out and say, "Hey, we tanked John Carter, Tomorrowland, and Tron 3 because we got Marvel and Star Wars on the horizon," because those deals were definitely in talks by that point. But the writing is kind of on the wall, and I want to talk about what how do I want to phrase this? Are there movies from that era, the before Marvel and Star Wars, before Disney took over pop culture, that we lament not getting a sequel for?
Yeah, I mean John Carter, obviously.
Well, obviously John Carter, but like other ones, not necessarily the obvious ones, because there's Tomorrowland. Like I'm so bummed we never got another Tomorrowland. Although that's pretty self-contained, so I'm not
Ryan, you're
like
muted.
I'm okay with it.
Unfortunately, movies have to make money to get sequels.
That's true, but I do think that there's a case to be made that like if John Carter's marketing was there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk about this.
I
Go
remember
ahead.
the biggest problem with John Carter was that, Disney itself called it a flop like a week in
Yeah.
or whatever it was, like really early, and like killed any momentum it had by doing so.
I'll be honest though, there was no momentum for that movie.
Mm.
When that movie came out, fans of the franchise, sure, but that movie did not do well because it's like big kaiju movies. Like Americans don't want to see that hardcore sci-fi with the bassoon and the badoon. And if it's not pretty like Star Wars, like you have to make it, not that it's a bad movie, it's a good movie. It's asking a lot of your audience, and the marketing wasn't helping either.
No,
Like
the
that
marketing
movie was
didn't
dead
work.
on arrival. Like I don't think there was any.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like the idea that like
Should have called John Carter a Mars.
if they had marketed that movie, because the timing lines up. We're not going to know the full story, but the timing lines up that they were already in talks to buy Star Wars at the time that movie was coming out. And if they had thought that John Carter was going to be their only chance at a space epic, they probably would have done better to market it. But because they knew they were getting Star Wars, they didn't.
I also think like it's one of those situations of like not trusting the movie that you made, because again, it is a big hardcore sci-fi Disney movie. And it's asking a lot of your audience for like the type of movie it is, which is like all I ever asked for is like, trust a creator to make a big hardcore movie, and like Dune. It's like a friendlier version of Dune, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hardcore, again, badoom, bassoom, all this crazy shit. He's a Confederate or whatever. The marketing didn't know what to do. I don't think the people behind the scenes, not the director, like the studio people, were like, what do we do with this half-naked dude fighting in a gladiator arena? How do we sell that to a 4-quadrant? And they just didn't know how. They had no idea how. And I think just calling it John Carter is one of the biggest mistakes of all time, for real. And not saying before Lord of the Rings, before Star Wars, there was John Carter, to build up the legend of this guy who does have a big history in the past. Mm-hmm. And like he was like a big popular pop culture figure back then, not so much now. If you lean into that shit, then maybe they would have something, but they didn't. They just wanted to make it the next big franchise.
I do think that there was a world in the infinite multiverse. There's worlds everywhere, but like there is a world where if they had just said in the marketing, if like they really like leaned into the marketing of like the story that inspired Star Wars, like that could have really done something. I don't know. I'm not saying that there is that there is a guarantee that movie would have made $1 billion. No way.
Mm-hmm.
No,
movies just weren't doing that back then. Just to be clear, but like that was just not. I don't think John Carter had the staying power, but I do think that there was a good chance that we could have gotten all 3 of those movies on just that first box office alone.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely, Star Wars, Marvel did impact, because like, hey, we don't have to rely on this franchise if it might not work. Like that's
Yeah,
that
and
is
that's
I
the,
100% believe that. Yeah.
that's the thing that like Bob Iger, like I personally I like Iger. I think he was a good fit at Disney, but like he was very much. Disney was struggling in their live action department for a very long time. They were just not sure what they wanted to do. They were making theme park rides, but none of them were hitting like Pirates of the Caribbean. They were trying to market these 4-quadrant films like Tomorrowland and Tron 3 and Tron Legacy and John Carter. And they were like, none of these are going to make us the numbers that like Universal. Remember, Universal was at one point the highest grossing studio of all time. Paramount was doing a lot better. Warner Brothers was killing it with creator-owned blockbusters that just constantly were hitting. Disney was struggling with their live action, and Bob Iger thought that the only way to get through that was to buy Star Wars and Marvel. And I don't think he was wrong. I do think he was right to do it, but I lament that in doing so, we never got kind of these creator visions of John Carter, of Tron, because that third Tron, I'm still holding out hope we eventually get that film.
Yeah, I'm salty about that too.
I'm never going to give up hope that we get that Tron 3.
I would say after the success of Top Gun Maverick, because the guy directed the second Tron movie. That would help, but it's a different studio, so I don't think Disney really even cares.
I don't think so.
They're looking at the long term of like, hey, if we make another movie of Tron, that means if it's good enough, we'll have to make another show and merchandise. And is that a venture we even want to do? And it looks like the answer is no.
Yeah. And Tron had, man, guys, do you remember Tron Legacy's like multimedia marketing campaign? Mm-hmm. Like, I say what you will, but like Disney did put a lot of marketing into. There were comics, there were multiple video games with different storylines. There was the show. Sparks, do you remember Tron Uprising?
Yes.
With Elijah Wood, and Bruce Boxleitner came back to be Tron. But it was like the whole season was like he's gonna become Rinsler. Like the idea is that he's being infected by a clue. Like he's gonna become Rinsler by the end of the season, and then he's cured at the end of the season. And you're like, wait, what happened? Tron's alive? Tron's going to be okay? And then they never officially canceled that show. They just never ordered another season, and they just let it die on the vine.
Yeah.
That's what you call a coward cancellation.
That's exactly what that is. Because Netflix did the same thing recently with Julie and the Phantoms. They just kind of let it die.
So I just looked up the budget and the domestic gross for Tron Legacy. It cost $170 million. It made 172.
Ooh.
Now, worldwide, it made 400, but that's still a disappointment for an almost $200 million movie.
Yeah.
Tron had really cool trailers. I know people were hyped about the music. So, like, again, like, now that it's weird, now that Disney has Marvel and Star Wars, I think people are more receptive to big hardcore sci-fi and like weird stuff. Because Endgame, superhero movie, big time travel sci-fi hard movie. You know what I mean? Like, I think the audience is more primed for John Carter now than they were a decade ago. Easy, 100%.
I think that's part of it. I think there's also like over a decade ago, people didn't have faith in Disney to make good movies.
It's true.
Like in general, like whether it was Disney, and this was before the turn in Disney animation, this was before the big hits in Disney live action outside of Pirates. Like they didn't have faith that they were making like great films, that this is like something they should go out of their way to see, or like, you know, things that they could reliably say, oh, I'll have a good time at this.
Yeah.
You know, like all of these things were Tron Legacy, John Carter, all these things were like up in the air. Is this going to be an enjoyable feat? No one had a reason to have faith that Disney knew what they were doing with them.
It's a really good point, because like that, there's not a long time ago where audiences, like nowadays, audiences are guaranteed to go see a Disney movie and it's going to make $1 billion. Look at Lion King. But 10 years ago, that wasn't the case.
Right.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Wikipedia of all these movies before the Disney Marvel era, and yeah, I'm like, not all of these are bad. You know, I haven't seen all of these, but we're talking about things like all the Chronicles of Narnia movies, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, the Tinkerbell movie, Bolt, Bedtime Stories, Race to Witch Mountain, like varying qualities of like, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing that's like grabbed.
And nowadays, Disney wouldn't be caught dead making a movie like that.
Yeah.
But I think that to your point, Ryan, that now that Disney is in a place where they have dominated pop culture, they've dominated the box office, people are guaranteed that if they see a Disney brand, Bob Iger successfully turned the Disney brand into something that people will go to see.
Thank you, Iron Man.
Well, that was Paramount.
Thanks, Paramount.
No, it's for real though. Disney has ridden Paramount's coattails.
Oh,
Like not even joking. Paramount is the reason why the Marvel Cinematic Universe exists, and Disney.
Realistically, they stole Paramount's coat.
Yeah, no, for real. I often think about that a lot, but I think to your point, Ryan, that like if Disney wanted to now make Tron 3, I do think that movie would be a box office success because it would come with the Disney brand. That they would be like, oh, this is a Disney movie. I'm guaranteed that quality control that I have been so accustomed to for the past 10 years.
It's a different franchise and studio. But again, look at Top Gun Maverick. That's a movie that shouldn't work and should not be one of the best movies of the year. But because you had a studio that believed in the director and the creative process, they got to make whatever the movie they wanted to, right? Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know if I'd call Top Gun movie like a genre movie, but like half that movie is just about jets and shit. So I'm like, if you make something good, people will see it. And I'm like, like Tron I think Tron could make $1 billion. Absolutely. Yeah, Disney's going to be an interesting place. I think Tron will come back. I just don't think it'll come back as fast as we want it to. Yeah. I think it's going to be waiting for that one special like director or like writer to be like, this is the one, y'all. This is the reboot. Which is always kind of the case, I feel like nowadays. Like you're just waiting for that one creative team.
Yeah, and they don't have to wait for Jeff Bridges because like they killed him in the last movie.
It's a better space to live in to wait for the right creative to want to come in and do it than to just like we haven't done anything with this for a while. Let's just shell it out.
Real quick. Chippendale is a good example. That is something that a creative team wanted to make for years. And yes, that is clearly a movie made by a studio. But that's the world we live in. Like you look at the Marvel movies, like Taika Waititi and James Gunn. They make Marvel movies, but they also make their own movies.
You're onto something with Chippendale because who listens to Weekly Planet?
I every week.
So they reminded me that Chippendale and Space Jam: A New Legacy are quite similar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Chippendale, however, has a creative team that gave a shit and wanted to promote these other characters, really wanted the cameos to like matter. And Space Jam: A New Legacy was just like, yeah, I guess we're just gonna throw a bunch of people on the side of the screen. We'll be fine, right?
Clockwork Orange guys next to the Iron Giant. What's fine?
Right. The people who made Space Jam: A New Legacy did not give a shit. No offense to Ryan Coogler, I know he's a producer on that movie, but like nobody really gave a shit about what it meant for the Iron Giant to be in this movie, what it means for Clockwork Orange to be in this movie. But Chippendale did. Chippendale was like, okay, well, if we have Tigra from Avengers, what's that going to mean for the story? What's that going to mean for this? You know, what's going to be a fun cameo? How long are we going to be on that fun cameo? What's going to be like a cameo important for the story? Like they really went through it, and everything in Chippendale was made with intent, whereas Space Jam: A New Legacy wasn't. And that's kind of an interesting place that Disney and Warner Brothers are in. It's a really good way to be like, Warner Brothers is not in the place they were 10 years ago, and Disney is not in the place they were 10 years ago. In fact, they've switched.
I was about to say, like, it's a flip-flop, yeah.
Warner Brothers used to be the one that you would guarantee, like, everything they do would be with intent. Like, there'd be a lot of creator on, and Disney is now that place.
10 years ago, we were in the midst of The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises was just coming out. Even though that movie might not be the best, that is still a vision of a director, right?
I won't go so far as to say that Disney is now the guarantee of that intent, but I will say that Disney is the guarantee of it will make money and you're going to have a time there is of some kind. Because it's that same thinking, right? That gave us Rise of Skywalker.
That's true. That's true.
Like, luckily, like the thing, like Disney, obviously big, shitty corporation, but like they are the ones who put out most of the entertainment that comes out. So I'm going to want them to put out the best thing that they possibly can. Right. Like, and luckily Disney, again, like you said, Brandon, like they've been killing it. Like for every 9 good movies, they have like one bad movie. And I think that's a really good track record.
The
Marvel Cinematic Universe, their worst movie is still better than a lot of bad movies. That is an insane track record.
I would say that Pixar's worst movie is better than a lot of bad movies.
Yeah, but how's their worst show?
I've seen worse shows. Not good, but like I've certainly like here, Sparks, you've seen Titans. I don't think a single Marvel show is worse than Titans.
Are we holding What If in this conversation?
No, I don't count that. That's on me being shitty.
Interesting. Yeah,
you're right though. If I'm thinking about the live action shows, like none of them are worse than Titans. That's true.
Yeah. No, but honestly, I do forget about What If all the time, and that's probably a problem.
there is a quality control that I think Disney, regardless of whether or not they let a director just kind of like go crazy, which most of the time they don't, but like, you know, they have a quality control that they've adopted from Marvel. Like Marvel was the place where you knew that like the Kevin Feige has a quality control. He's kind of laxed a bit lately. But like there's a quality control that came from Paramount that Disney adopted. I know I wish I did the Paramount Marvel thing, because like now I'm thinking about that a lot. But like that's all I really wanted to touch on, was just like I think that was an interesting way to look at just kind of where Disney was not long ago, honestly.
Yeah. I think I'll go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say every time, so like after Disney got the Alien and Predator, Fox. I was going to say the Alien franchise, but it's Fox. Like, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh no, is Alien going to die?" Like, no. Predator's not going to die. The thing that I love about Disney is that when they acquire something, they acquire it for a reason. They don't acquire it to kill it. They acquire it to make money. They are a business about making money. So they are going to exploit every franchise they possibly have until they can't. I fully expect John Carter to come back. TV show, animated show, not a big live action movie. I don't think they're going to do that again. I fully expect Tron to come back. Probably a live action movie. That makes the most sense. Even an animated show, because like that works for the digital world. Disney is different, whereas like Paramount and other companies, like they'll let franchises die until but like Disney's like, no, we love money. And if we make something good, you'll give us the money. And that's the one thing I like about Disney is like they respect, like we know we're a business transaction between us. That's why we're going to give you good shit all the time.
Right.
You're absolutely right, because like what's happened is that Disney is now in a financial stability. It now has the financial stability that every studio wishes they had. That every studio honestly had 10, 15 years ago. And now they don't.
Except Disney.
Except like Disney is now in a place where they can be like, we're going to acquire Fox, and we're not going to let Predator and Alien die, and it's not going to taint our brand because we're just going to shove it onto Hulu. But like that's still not letting it them letting it die.
Yeah.
I do think Warner Brothers is very close to coming back to glory.
They're coming back.
I do think they're very close to it, and I hope they can succeed, and I hope Discovery can help them succeed. I think Universal is honestly fine. You know, they're okay. And Paramount's okay.
When you think about it, Warner Brothers has been playing like the last few years, 6 years, whatever, with one arm tied behind its back because of AT&T.
Yes, it's true. I hope that Discovery can, and I think that Warner Brothers knows that. And like we've gotten James Gunn's Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and Matrix Resurrections, like movies that 5-6 years ago Warner Brothers doesn't make.
Yeah, Dune and the Batman. And so like I do think that we've gotten to the point where we are seeing, I'm not confident enough to say we are seeing a Warner Brothers renaissance back to their original glory, but I do think we are very close to seeing it.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. I mean, to comment on Warner Brothers being with an arm behind their back. I mean, there's a reason John Oliver constantly made fun of AT&T on his show, still does. And
they sucked. They were not a good fit for that company.
Yeah, so I will, because I'm looking forward to like some of the stuff that Warner Bros. Has been putting out recently. I'm looking forward to it, like with Dune, the Batman. God, what was the one we just said that was really good?
Multiverses.
Matrix, thank you. Yeah,
Matrix. Multiverses, which is their Smash Brothers fighting game.
God, Multiverses, yeah.
They could have very easily said, no, you cannot use like all of these. You cannot use the actual voices and all this stuff like a lot of the other fighting games have done. That is a game with Warner Brothers fully in support, 100% behind it every step of the way.
I can't wait to see Godzilla in that game.
Bro, I cannot wait for Ted Lasso to show up in that game. I haven't even watched that
Tony
show.
Tony Soprano.
Tony Soprano throwing cannolis.
All right. Anyway,
I think that's a good all that conversation about around that time period is a good transition. I was going to go into a different thing, but we'll go into this. Why don't we talk about it's the 10-year anniversary of Avengers. Avengers hit theaters a little over 10 years ago. I want us to talk about where we were, how we felt going into it, how we felt coming out of it, our hype levels, all that kind of jazz. I want to start with this one. How many times did you guys see it in theaters?
ooh,
I want to say
If you
twice.
remember.
I think I saw it 3 times.
I want to say 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Ryan, you
But
said
We all see it at midnight?
yeah. Ryan, you said 3.
Yeah.
6, baby.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I was.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie 6 times. I'm trying to
Part
think.
of it was because almost every time I went, I was taking someone new to see it, and I wanted that experience over and over and over again.
I did that with Infinity War. I saw Infinity War 4 times because I just wanted to see all of my friends freak out when everybody died.
Yeah.
Specifically, my one coworker, I'll always remember this, but he was Sean. He didn't read comics. He didn't know pop culture at all. He just watched movies. So the second you see Bucky fall and Black Panther, he's like, did they just kill all those heroes? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, yep. They did. Oh, it was the great Avengers, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember all the way going back to like the Iron Man post-credit scene and Nick Fury appearing and saying, the Avengers thing, and then like turning to everyone I was hanging out with at the time and being like, holy shit, they're doing the thing. They're doing the thing. This is gonna be the thing. And they're like, I don't understand what that means. and you get down the road, and once you get to Iron Man 2 and the Thor trailer, like they start to see, okay, so these things are going to be the same, and I'm like, yeah. And the hype level going into Avengers, I remember people like, there was all this anticipation. It's hard to think of anymore of like, okay, so this is gonna succeed and change everything
Or
in film, or it's going to bomb and they'll never do this again.
This is the end of the universe.
And I remember going to it at midnight, and I was so hyped, and I'm like, this is literally like, for our generation, this is Star Wars coming out.
Yeah,
this is the closest it would ever be, and I knew it then. I'm like, this is changing blockbuster film. This is changing pop culture. This is the moment right now,
for better or for worse.
Yeah, and I remember going in with all that like hanging in the air, and I was so like, oh my god, are we gonna do it?
I want to comment, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Disney had never bought Marvel Studios, it would have been for the better. Unequivocally, I do think Paramount would have had a very different and probably not as defining hand in the MCU. I think that there was a lot of that Disney did that when you watch those early films doesn't quite. I talk about like Disney removed all like sex. There's no like implied sex in these films anymore. Although that's changing, but like I think that the monoculture was because Disney bought the MCU, but that's not here nor there.
No, I am. We have a considerably better MCU for it, but I do think Hollywood is not better for it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I don't know that you get the same resources or the same audience pool if they're not able to engage with it on the way that they're able to because it's Disney.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I remember. Sorry, Ben, if you want to go.
No, I was gonna say I remember the whole day vividly. Actually, when that movie came out, the night it came out, I remember I was at Mount San Antonio College in Walnut, and I was doing my morning radio show. And the whole week leading up to Avengers, I created a little segment called Avengers Showcase, where I would take one character of the Avengers team and I would talk about them, like what their first appearance was, a little bit of a backstory, essentially telling the Casey casuals who didn't really know comics where this character came from. And that Thursday, of course, I did Thor. But the whole show was essentially dedicated to the Avengers. Like every single segment outside of the news, we were just talking about how hyped we were, how excited we were, what our favorite MCU film up to that point was, what was could possibly. I was playing clips from the trailer between Tony Stark and Loki on the air. It was. I could not have rushed to to my dad's truck when my last class came out and drive as fast as possible to Northridge to meet up with Brandon to go see the movie that night. I was so unbelievably hyped.
The movie had aired already in England like 2 weeks prior.
Avengers Assemble.
And maybe like a week prior, maybe it wasn't that long, but like I do remember having to avoid a lot of spoilers, and I had Coulson's death spoiled for me.
Man,
I wasn't on
avoid spoilers even a decade ago, Brandon.
Yeah.
I wasn't on Twitter then though. I was just on a news site, and they're like, the headline was like, Coulson dies and Avengers Assemble. I'm like, really?
Damn.
The hell. So I was very careful, but I remember a few times. I remember seeing a few movies at midnight. I've talked a little bit about my experience watching Revenge of the Sith on Twitter recently. And Avengers was another moment where I remember being in line. I remember what theater. I remember where in line I was. I remember going up to the ticket taker and being like, "Hey, do you guys have the 3D glasses?" Because they had the 3D glasses that looked like the Avengers glasses. And they didn't.
I think I have a Captain America pair from like one of the later times I went and saw it.
I'm pretty sure I still have all four, but I don't know where they are at this point. And I remember where we sat in that theater, and I remember, you know what would be cool? If I said Avengers and the whole theater just yelled back, "Assemble." So I did. And only one person yelled back. And it was him. But like I didn't care because like nowadays it's kind of embarrassing. But like I didn't care because I was so excited for that movie. I was so at that point just hardcore into the MCU. There was nothing that could make my excitement less.
I remember Brandon telling me about that plan about yelling Avengers and I yelling Assemble right afterwards. I also remember seeing our spot in line with the group we were with, and we were giving someone our Subway orders because there's a Subway across the parking lot to go get food.
Oh, I remember the Subway. Yeah.
So we just gave them the money. They come back with Subway, and we're just because we were in line for a good 4 to 5 hours before.
Yeah, the theater that we were in didn't have assigned seating.
Yeah. So this was back in the day and this was also before, because I remember the following year or so, or 2 years, whatever, we went to go see Iron Man 3 at midnight. And we were going to try and sit outside for like hours, but then we realized, oh wait, they have a 9 o'clock showing now. So we just bought a ticket for the 9 o'clock, and I went back to my dorm and took a nap because I was sleepy.
God, remember, back in the days when midnights were true midnights.
Yeah, no, because the only other from the films I remember seeing at true midnights were Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. I know, I saw that shit in IMAX too. Holy crap! The Harry Potter film, the ending of the Harry Potter films, Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. I
remember real quickly, Ben. May I interrupt about Revenge of the Fallen, because you said you saw that at midnight in IMAX. I also saw that midnight in IMAX, and I was in the front row.
Oh.
Like I'm talking like the front row because it was the only seats left. And I remember I was with Sparks. I was with Elliot and Harrison. And so like we were watching the movie like this, and the title cards would have like the locations. We would go thump, 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 just constantly reading the title. It was not a good experience.
Yeah,
I waited 6 hours in line to get good seats for Revenge of the Fallen. My dad thought I was insane when I told him I was going to drive to Northridge, which was an hour, 45 minutes to an hour drive from my house, to go see the Avengers, drive back, and go to school and do my radio show, which started at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. he also thought I was insane.
You were.
But I did it. I made the show on the show on time. Of course, the Friday morning afterwards, I was like, okay, no spoilers for Avengers, but holy crap, it was one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. And essentially it was still talking all about the Avengers because a bunch of people, my co-hosts at the time, they also saw it the night prior.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the most, I would put me seeing Avengers for the first time up there with my viewing of Star Wars Episode 7. Mm-hmm. As in where Star Wars made me cry during the opening because I was seeing a new film in a franchise that forged me through my life. Avengers was the start of something brand new that I didn't know I was going to like. I knew of the Avengers, like when I finally did see the end credit scene of Iron Man, it was on Stars years after the fact. I didn't know about it. When I remember the day I saw Iron Man once the credits started rolling, my dad and I popped out of that theater to go sneak into I Am Legend. We did that shit. And I didn't know about the post-credit scene. It wasn't until I was talking to kids at school after that they're like, oh yeah, did you see the end credits for Iron Man? I'm like, there's an end credit scene for Iron Man? And they're like, yeah, it's all rumor right now, but they said the Avengers Initiative. I'm like, the Avengers? You mean that team that's like the Justice League but isn't the Justice League? They're like, yeah. And it started my journey. And I remember when I saw Iron Man 2, I forced my dad to stay after the credits. And we saw Thor's hammer, and I'm like, they're doing Thor next and Captain America, and we're getting the Avengers. It's happening. And we're leaving the theater, and my dad's like, what's going on? I was like, something's happening now. This is some good shit.
I remember being at the Captain America First Avengers screening for Comic-Con because it was a few days. Yes, I was with you because it was a few days before it released in theaters. It happened to be Comic-Con happened to be on the week Captain America was coming out. And so a few days before it came out, they had a special screening and we got to go to it. And so the insanity from that post credits, which was basically the first teaser trailer for the Avengers. Man, and ever since, like the hype stream was just extreme.
That year wait between Captain America, the First Avenger, and the Avengers was oof. It was brutal, but it was worth it.
I had just started dating somebody at the time. And so we were doing a marathon of the films up to that point. And they're like, I have to watch all these. And I'm like, yes, you do. That's the whole thing.
Boy, starting that marathon now.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a totally different thing, but like, I was like, you're good. That's the whole point. Is like we do all this, and then it's gonna all just boom together. And talking to people and saying like, this is gonna be the next Star Wars, and people being like,
my God.
And this is at the time when we thought Star Wars was over as far as films.
Mm-hmm.
My God, starting that marathon 10 years ago, looking at it 10 years ago, looking at it now was just insane. Over 20 films, 25, almost 30 films.
Almost 70 films
in its entirety is just not. I'm surprised we were even able. It took us 3 weeks to get through all the films before Endgame.
More than that. It took us 3 weeks to discuss it.
Yeah,
Brian, you haven't said anything.
No, I didn't see it.
You still haven't seen it?
No, I just thought I was osmosis. So I've been reading comics most of my life. So, the hype is I firmly, even after the trailer, jokingly, I didn't believe this movie was happening. Yeah. I just couldn't believe. I remember seeing it, walking into the theater like, I think we're seeing a different movie right now, guys. I don't believe this is happening right now. I got an Iron Man tattoo. Like I had an Iron Man tattoo like as soon as I turned like 18. One, because I liked the movie, but two, because I've been reading the comics forever and I connected with that character. So having the first Avenger, Captain America, the first canonical Avenger, be Iron Man, a character nobody cares about, was really cool. Because now he's like the most popular character in the world, which is, I'm not one of those people who gatekeeps. The more popular my character gets, the better for me, because that means I get more of it, right? Captain America, I never really connected with until afterwards. I was just young and didn't give a shit about America, so I didn't think his comics could be cool.
Now you're old and you just still don't give a shit about America, but he's cool.
True. Yeah. And then after that movie, the Brubaker comic started, and I started picking, was coming out in trades, and I was picking that up. Thor, I didn't really care about either. The thing that really got me was Thanos. being the only person in my theater who knew who that person was.
Sure.
Right.
Because it's one of those things where like even now, like we're all nerds and we're all so ingrained in it now, but back then, nobody was.
Nope.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to like everyone's like, huh? And I'm like, I get that reference. It was really nice. It was really cool. And I was like, oh, if they could do Avengers, then they can do Thanos. And luckily, I thought Thanos was going to be Avengers too. I didn't think Endgame was the encapsulation of everything, and that's why Endgame is so good.
That's why when Age of Ultron was announced, I was like, wait, I thought the next one would be Thanos.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. And also, I was reading the comic Age of Ultron at the time, which starred Wolverine going back in time. So I'm like, are the X-Men coming? And it's like, no, it's literally nothing to do with that comic whatsoever. That's going to be the start of doing that then.
You're really right. Like nothing like Avengers had ever happened before. Like Sparks, you said, this was our Star Wars here, and just like we had dreamed for years. The closest thing we ever got to a team movie was George Miller's Justice League that never happened.
Yep. And
that was not going to star Brandon Routh and Christian Bale.
Right. And that's the thing. That's the thing is like anything in our concepts of ever picturing a Justice League film or an Avengers film was always just like, we weren't anticipating that we'd have solo films with those characters apart from it. We just wanted the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know that they could do it.
Yeah. Now we know they have the patience because like, like everyone's like, oh, Secret Wars is going to happen in a year. I'm like, well, you saw Endgame. That took how long did it take to get there? Like patience. Like after Avengers, and then I saw Age of Ultron. I'm like, oh man, they really are doing a long con here. And then the Age of Ultron post credit of like Thanos doing it himself, and I'm like, man, I'm indifferent on the movie, but like you're setting Thanos up like pretty well. And then the Guardians, and it's like, it's hindsight is it's just really impressive.
And I want to say that like spreading out the Infinity Stones throughout the phases ended up actually being a really smart move.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because like as much as I got kind of tired of it by the time the Time Stone became the Eye of Agamotto, I was just kind of like, okay, what? So there's just every movie they're just gonna find a stone MacGuffin. But like in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, oh, actually no, that's a great way to do the shorthand of like now you don't need to explain what any of these stones do because I've seen them already.
Right. And it made the audiences register and care about them.
Yeah.
And it's such a with the breadth of comic villains that you have, making Thanos your first big one, like Thanos, like there are so many characters. Like Thanos could be your end game, but I mean like the actual very end game. Like Thanos could be the end all be all villain in your multiverse or whatever, right? Like Kang could be that, Doctor Doom could be that, Ultron could be that. Like all of these characters have the potential to be like world threatening, conquering things for a decade. But Thanos really was, I think, was the best choice because he's a person with a goal that's beyond his goal of collecting things. Because once you get to Kang, where it's multiverse stuff, and once you get to Doctor Doom, where he's a techno wizard, you're starting to get a little beyond the normal villainy. So like I think Thanos was the perfect villain of like, hey, I'm trying to collect these stones. That's my goal.
There's a lot of things that like watching the MCU kind of go through its growing pains with Thanos. Because if you actually follow the movies, Thanos' motivation doesn't jive with his Endgame appearance.
Oh no,
not really. Because like there's a line that I always loved. I always loved this line at the end of Avengers, to go back to the Avengers, where the other, which is Alexis Denisov's character, when he says when he's just like, to challenge Earth is to court death. That's the thing that Thanos turns back and smiles, because he's like, I like death. Death is hot. I want to bone death. And so like that, and that's still like the thing. That's still kind of the thing, even into Guardians of the Galaxy, which is like the second time we see him, but Endgame completely is just like, you know what? Actually, he was doing this for quote unquote altruistic reasons.
Infinity War, really,
yeah.
It makes sense to me, and I think he is a more compelling villain when he is like the hero of his own story.
Sure.
I just like Thanos being a horny asshole. That's the character to me. He's all powerful and he wants someone who doesn't want him. and he
Right.
will do literally anything to get her, even destroy the universe itself. I think that is like beautiful and romantic in a really weird way. He's like the most insane simp of all time. But I also like the eco-terrorist, like does not like I really like that too. Like I'm not mad the choice they made. But now in that new trailer we saw Lady Death's there, and I'm like, what are we doing now?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
are we doing?
Yeah, it's just so wild to think about the time before the big bubble burst.
Yeah.
And like us being who we are, being like as entrenched as we were, knowing that bubble was probably going to burst the right way and everything was going to be different after that.
Yeah.
I can't tell, like I remember having conversations with people who weren't very familiar with most of these. They saw the previous films, but they weren't familiar with the comic characters at all. And I'm like, you really need to understand this is big. This is really going to change the landscape if they nail it. And just not really comprehending, not understanding what that could mean. I remember specifically, and I remember it because it happened. And every time I hear the line in the movie, I always think about it. I remember when I was watching Avengers, when it became real for me, and it's such a small thing. When I was like, holy shit, they did it. It's really happening. It's all here. And it's in the middle of the film. It's when it's a shot of Nick Fury on the helicarrier, and someone is coming in over the dialogue, radioing to him and saying, we've got Hulk and Thor battling on the lower decks.
Mhm.
And just the fact that the guy said that, I was like, we did it. We're here, baby. He just said Hulk and Thor are battling on the lower decks.
I think it's before. But it's when it's when Loki gets captured and then Thor comes to take him out, and there's like the force battle between Captain America and Iron Man and stuff, and I'm like, and Thor. That's where I'm like, oh my god, he did the hammer thing on the shield. Oh my god.
That's the thing that like blew my mind about it was that, like, you know, kind of going back to what I talked about, like I never envisioned a Justice League movie could ever exist with Brandon Routh and Christian Bale, because that's just not how movies were made. That's just not how thing was done back then.
Yeah.
And so, like, by the way, I still would have liked to have seen that George Miller film. But like, I remember sitting there thinking to myself, I know these characters. I've seen these characters before. I am watching the equivalent of a comic book crossover.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I am watching right now.
Right. Yeah, it's what a change. What a cultural touchstone that we've lived through, guys.
Mhm.
What a wild thing.
And now we're at a point where this franchise is still going on, and two of our main characters are dead. One of them is more ripped than he's ever been, and he's really funny. Another one has a new cousin we're getting introduced to. Another one has a new young sidekick. Who am I missing? It's just like,
just old.
Captain America is old, and we're getting a new one. Like Thor, we're getting a new one. It feels like the comics now. Like it's always felt like the comics, but like now we're at the legacy point where legacy characters are coming in.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, we're getting old.
I don't think I agree. There's a lot of people talk about like Phase 4 being directionless, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I do think it is strange. It's not strange. It's an interesting place to be in, that we don't know the end game destination. Like we don't know that Avengers is coming. Like we knew essentially, we knew from the moment we had hoped anyway, that an Avengers movie was coming after Iron Man 1. But like, we don't know that there is a crossover movie happening. There's no end point that we are aware of for Phase 4, and I do think that's an interesting place to be in. But I actually think this phase is harkening back in many ways to Phase 1.
But here's the thing: like I don't see why people think it's a problem. Like don't tell me that we're like, oh, we're building to Avengers in 2027. Don't tell me that,
Because it's
like just like
TV.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
like
no,
it's just like comic books. We don't know what the next comic book event is until it's announced.
Mhm.
I'm not reading Spider-Man 7 going, geez, when is this going to tie into Avengers? That's not the way I operate. I'm watching Black Panther and I'm watching Ant-Man 3. When they announce Avengers is when I'm like, oh, that's what they're building towards. I take it as like, I think Endgame has put people in a way of like, everything has to be an Endgame now. And I'm like, we could just build slowly.
I think it's TV show logic. I think that like they think of the film series. A lot of people think of the film series of the MCU now like they think of a television show.
Yeah.
So everything is linking together and leading to that big season finale, not series finale, season finale event. And they're just like, we've watched a lot of things. Where's our heads up for where our season finale is?
Yeah, that's
Because
a good point.
It's that kind of logic that you're rewriting your brain to view it as, and not thinking about it as the individual films that happen to come together.
People need to live in the now.
Think about it. Because think about it. We have never ever been in a point where we didn't know an entire phase. Because we don't know the entirety of Phase 4. And this is probably
we don't
half
even
of
know
Phase 4.
we don't even know what show's coming out after She-Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. So like we don't know where Phase 4 ends. We are probably only at the halfway point by the time She-Hulk comes out. Maybe. And also, so like we've never been in that place. But I actually think that's kind of exciting because we now live in a world that feels very much like Phase 1, where we are getting Kevin Feige a little bit more. We're seeing Kevin Feige have a little bit more faith in the directors, kind of showing, kind of like they're doing their own thing. The shows are still on rocky soil, but we're seeing interesting characters being introduced that people are engaging with. And I do feel like this is the closest we have come to feeling like Phase 1 again, and I actually think that's kind of exciting.
Yeah. I agree, and also like. Phase 1, we were getting 1 to 2 movies a year. Yeah. Now we're getting 5 TV shows and 3 movies a year. Like, you can't have almost 10 things all leading up to one thing. That's not how a universe is. Like, why would Shang-Chi and Eternals have anything? You know what I mean? Like, not everything has to connect.
For sure.
I think Kevin Feige was trying to warn us. Like, he knew. Like, the thing is, the MCU has rewired people's brains.
Yeah.
As Sparks was saying, like it's TV show logic. We always knew that Infinity War Part 2 or Endgame was always coming. We always knew that Age of Ultron was coming. We always knew that Avengers was coming. When they started announcing an entire phase, they announced an entire phase. But when Kevin Feige announced Phase 4, he didn't announce all of it. And he said to us,
there's so much of it.
And he said to us, he said, I just announced all this shit. You want more?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so like that's the thing that I think he knew that what he had done had rewired people's brains, and he was trying to prepare us for the fact that like that's not going to be the direction going forward.
Yeah. And I don't think I know none of us think this way. There is a section of like people who just disregard characters if they're not important. Or if like, like Ant-Man. Like, I'm not going to, like, defend Ant-Man as, like, the greatest character of all time, but, like, people just won't watch those movies because, like, who gives a shit about Ant-Man, right? And I'm like...
You're missing out on one of the best MCU movies.
I want an entire phase of nothing but Ant-Man to shut these people up. Because, like, honestly, we got, like, Shang-Chi is a character that nobody knew. Moon Knight's a character that nobody knows. But all those things are liked and loved, right? Because if you just make it good... Like, Moon Knight's not connecting to the Avengers. I hope people aren't asking those questions because it doesn't have to.
That's another good point. I think we're kind of at a point where we're not building to one crossover. We're building to a few.
Right.
Because I think we're getting the Midnight Suns and the Avengers differently. I don't think we're getting them together. I don't think Moon Knight and Blade and Captain America are going to team up. I think we're getting different crossover events coming. And that's probably what's happening there.
Right.
Well, there was something else. Oh, we've been saying it's Phase 4. I want to apologize. It is not called Phase 4. It is Phase Wong.
Oh, yeah. I'm okay with that. Put in my literally everything.
Very good. I enjoyed that. If anyone has any last thoughts on the MCU, especially in relation to the 10-year anniversary of Avengers, if not, we'll move on from our long MCU minute into the rest of our annual.
Let's do it.
Any memories of the show in the past year, guys, that you want to talk about? Our shows, the fake nerd shows. Anything stand out?
Yeah.
Brian,
a few things stand out.
Yeah, maybe, I guess. The first thing that came to mind was seeing Spider-Man.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, that's still one of my favorite MCU movies. Not just because of the cameos, but like I think it's just a really fun special movie. And seeing it with friends at premiere time is good.
I think getting to do the Spider-Man revisitation episodes was a great time.
Oh, yes, that too.
I really enjoyed those.
The Spidey era of the podcast was nice, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a few things I want that I've really enjoyed doing the show this year, doing all of our shows this year. I haven't done all of our shows this year, but some of them. This is not a slight on you guys. I've really enjoyed finally getting to talk about Star Trek in a more in a better atmosphere, not a better atmosphere, in a bigger atmosphere.
Somewhere where somebody watches the show, Brandon.
Well, because I don't. There's a couple of things that I don't really get to talk about on the show, and we all feel that way. We've all got things that, like, you know, we're all not watching the same stuff. We're all not doing the same things. Like,
yeah.
And so, like, I'm really grateful that I finally got a place to kind of revisit how much I do love Star Trek with Cookie from Just a Little Podcast and Michael Carls from Downright Nerdy, and finally get to, like, really deep dive into these shows that I've just kind of passively watched, and being able to, like, actively watch and actively discuss has been a lot of fun.
I love that for you. Yeah.
That's the first thing. But the other thing is the Fake Nerd Awards was fun as hell.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
That was so much fun. And I would say the 5th anniversary special was also one of those, but I don't want to do that.
Obviously, like, well, that the 5th anniversary special is great. Like, I will harken back to that myself. Yeah.
Doing the Fake Nerd Awards was a lot of fun, and how quickly we put that together, and the people who engaged with that, even though it wasn't that many, like, getting to kind of just be like, John Cena won Best Actor. Like, no one's ever going to say that on a real award show, and like, and
they're wrong for it.
And they're wrong for it, exactly. And like, that was a lot of fun to kind of to get to do, and we got to highlight things like Transformers Earthrise, like, right, like, Sparks. We got to be like, that didn't win, but I wanted to highlight how crazy of a turn that show took when Starscream found out about Unicron, and so that gave me the opportunity to kind of gush about that a bit more and tell people a bit more about that, and you know, like, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, and like, these things that was just a lot of fun to get to do.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. That's a good pull. I really enjoyed doing the annual. The awards. I want to make that an even bigger thing in the future. I think that was a knockout for us. We should have been doing all along.
Yeah, I think next year with prep time, as Batman would say, we have
with Batman prep time.
we have that. We can make that something really cool, and I think that'd be a lot of fun to do next year.
I agree. Ben?
Ooh, hope this doesn't sound narcissistic, but something that really hit me was like, holy shit, really, was when Pause Menu got nominated for the Snobby Awards.
No, for sure.
Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Because when Brandon said, hey, put this thing for an award, I think you have a chance, I'm like, sure, might as well. I didn't even think about it until it's like, hey, we're going to announce the nominations. And then I listened to it, and I was like, what do you mean I got nominated 3 times?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I knew you had a good shot, because Based on Arcade Pause Menu is our most popular show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad that you did that show, and I'm really proud of you for getting that award.
Thank you. And yeah, so that's definitely something that stands out to me, but that stands out to me personally for the show, for doing the show. But also the other thing that stands out is the fact that all 4 of us were just so hot on Sonic the Hedgehog 2 when we went and saw it a few months ago.
Oh, actually, Ben, I saw it again, and I'm not so hot on it anymore. I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you.
Bro, I played Sonic games since then because of that movie.
I love that so much.
Yeah, so just go into, because I remember when we saw the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and I was like, man, these guys are probably gonna like it. And then just hearing Brandon saying how excited and how hyped he was to see the second Sonic the Hedgehog movie, I was like, man, this just makes me so happy. Because when I try to introduce you guys, or when I have introduced you to other Sonic media, i.e. the comic books, I'm always like a little nervous in how you guys are gonna take it, because I know me and Sparks being big Sonic the Hedgehog fans and growing up those books, they have a special place in our heart, flaws and all. But with Brandon and Ryan, who are more in tune for other books, it's like, I wonder how these guys are going to take it, how they're going to like it. And yes, your criticisms are very well founded. but also there's just that little point is like, oh, are they gonna like, how hard are they gonna go on me for picking a certain book or whatever?
And
Man, anything could be good. It's just sometimes the Sonic books that you pick good ones. Sometimes they're just written for children and awfully written. That's all it is.
I want to say, Ben, I liked Sonic the Hedgehog 2 so much. I actually think it impacted how much I enjoyed Halo. I'm not saying that I would have liked Halo, but I might.
How it was done.
But I am saying that like I probably would have given Halo a pass if I had not seen Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
How you're supposed to do it.
Brandon liked Sonic the Hedgehog 2 so much he got it on Steelbook. So that's how much
I don't even
likes it.
I don't even own the first movie.
Yeah.
I really wanted
baby.
that Steelbook.
No, when Sparks, I remember when Sparks called or he texted me one morning. He's like, "Hey, do you have like $30 to burn?" I'm like, "I don't know why." And he sent me the link for the Steelbook, and I'm like, I instantly pre-ordered it from Best Buy.
Well, the reason I asked the question that way is because I was like, I wasn't gonna let you not get it, because like if you couldn't do it, I was like, I'm gonna get this right now for you, because like you need to have it.
This the second I even told Fanny when I came home from work that night. I was like, "So I bought something," and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, and I showed her the Steelbook. She's like, "Oh, it's just like the
that one."
Yep, that one.
That's good.
I mean, how could I not? It's the poster that I really want, and it's also a knockoff of the game cover. That's like that has nostalgia's bitch written all over for
it. That's the best poster of the movie.
Oh yeah,
like I know it's a homage poster to the game, but like that is the best poster of that movie. It looks the best. It is done the best. It represents everything that movie does well, which is it's just a Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yeah,
it is just a hey, how cool is Sonic the Hedgehog? Here's that movie.
Yeah.
By the way, have you guys seen any of the footage for Sonic Frontiers?
We're going to talk about it on the podcast.
We'll talk about it on our regular episode, which now was last week, friends.
Yes.
Go last week to hear our thoughts about Sonic Frontiers.
There, Sparks and I have thoughts.
Oh yeah.
I also have thoughts as a gamer.
Oh, thank God.
Oh boy. Anyway, so I think the other thing in this past year that we've done that I'd really like to spotlight is the Matrix specials, the Matrix episodes that we did.
Yeah.
I loved going back to the Matrix with all of you. I really enjoyed that. That was a highlight of my time.
It was really good rewatching those films because I haven't seen those films in over 10 years. Some of them 15 maybe.
It's nice to know there's not a bad Matrix movie.
That was a shitty time of the year for me. And so having the 1-2 punch of Spider-Man and the Matrix with you guys was really, really nice. A very nice like vacation from what was going on.
I'm really glad we were able to pull that off. Because pulling something like that off with our schedules is not easy. And so like being able to do that and doing it well, and for me basically remembering that the Matrix freaking rules and it's like my favorite thing ever, and I completely forgot. And so watching
specifically the whole Matrix, not just the Matrix, but the whole Matrix.
The whole thing was just like, oh right, I adore this. This is incredible. And then being able to like bathe in the beautifulness of Matrix Resurrections. Like it was a wonderful time.
I really liked a lot of the basement arcades we got to do together this year too, for the Spooktober time period.
Oh yeah, you guys always like scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah, but the fact that like while you were playing, Brandon was getting scared too. The fact that we were able to do a lot of these with Brandon, so Brandon was getting freaked out at the same time. Like those Outlast videos are great.
So I think the ones that bring more in my mind for basement arcade, for Spooky Arcade, was obviously Five Nights at Freddy's, because that's been one that I've been wanting to play for a while.
Sure.
But what's that PC game that you and Ryan had me play?
Tall Poppy, which I don't want you to say too much about because we're still going to make Brandon do it for next Spooktober.
Yeah.
Is that? Did you guys release that?
Yeah.
It's the one we told you not to watch.
Yeah.
Oh. I was like, I'm pretty sure I watched all of them, but you're right. I didn't watch all of them.
Yeah, we told you specifically don't watch that because we're going to have you play it.
Yeah. So Tall Poppy was definitely one that I had a lot of fun doing, but also I think that has some of the best, best reactions.
Yeah.
Especially when I open a door, I open a certain door and I see something and I go, "Oh, that.
Yeah.
No.
This was a good Spooktober overall. I look forward to planning and making an even better one.
It reminded me of one that I wanted to bring up. I really loved playing Aliens Fire Team Elite with you guys.
Yes, me too. I can't wait to get back to it. I'm working on getting my setup going so that we can continue our Elite time.
I have been dying to get back into it since the last time we recorded, which was a very long time ago at this point. Yeah. And I remember I was watching the first episode actually recently because I really liked my reaction of just what's going on? Just being chased by a giant xenomorph.
Your reaction going
because I'm so far away from you guys. That was I just love that.
All right, that reminded me of one other thing, and we haven't really been recorded. I streamed a little bit of it on my Twitch every once in a while, but the very rare times when me, Ryan, and Sparks got together and played Elden Ring, it hasn't happened a whole lot, but when it does happen, magic is made. That game is so much fun.
I thought I was done. Well, actually, that's not. I know I'm not done with Elden Ring. But I thought I was just done spending so much time with it. But I've been spending my time invading recently.
I saw.
It's
a rat bastard.
It's a good time. Being a jerk is a good time sometimes.
I saw you hiding and just pop up and kill the host. I saw that tweet of yours, mister.
Do you remember that move I was telling you about, how I can't use it on regular enemies and I grabbed them? I was able to do it on a bad guy and I murked them. It was great.
I saw. It was great. But not only the fact that one of the three of us were able to play Elden Ring, but also the fact that my friend Grayson is also playing Elden Ring. And when myself and Ryan hop in his game and it makes me, I love it hopping into a game with someone who's so low level and just barely starting out in the game. Because then I'm exploring the lands between again. It's like, man, I remember going through this area. This area is great. And you're like, what's going on? Don't worry about it. You'll find out.
There's one more I want to highlight, which is we did a book club special on Dune.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, reading Dune and talking about it was awesome.
That was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad we got to do that. I'm mostly just impressed that I got to get through that whole book.
Dune pilled.
But doing Dune and then watching the movie was a lot of fun. And talking about that book with you guys and experiencing that movie the way it was meant to be experienced was very cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Yeah, we've had some good memories. You guys have been doing some good work on your individual shows too, Brandon and Ben. So
my individual show isn't out yet.
Well, also
Conversation.
But there was conversation earlier last year.
That was last year.
It didn't end before our last anniversary special. So you were doing good stuff.
That is true. I'm really happy I did conversation, and I'm really bummed that I'm not done with season 2 yet, but it is coming. It's just been a lot slower than I anticipated.
And adjacent to Fake Nerds, you guys have been doing great stuff with your writing, and good for you. And I do want to highlight that, but this is about this show. So we're going to continue. So now we're going to go into our questions time, friends, because we are going surprisingly long, which is cool.
Really? Are you really that surprised?
Really?
Only a little bit. This is right now we're about at the time I thought we were probably going to hit. We're over, and I'm like,
listen, we talk about the MCU in actual detail, and we actually have great conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why you come to the Fake Nerd podcast, for the length.
Yeah. All right, friends. So we're going to jump into our questions. Our first ones are from Boss Beater Gaming on Twitter, who asks, how important do you think GoldenEye was to modern shooters, specifically online matches? I don't feel very qualified to answer this question personally.
Well, the N64 didn't have online support, so not very much. But GoldenEye, being a couch co-op multiplayer game, I think ingrained a lot of multiplayer culture into people. Did you play GoldenEye multiplayer, Ben, at all?
Very rarely. It was only at a friend's house. But I want to say that because of GoldenEye, and actually because of the N64 itself, because the thing about the N64 when it came out was that it had 4 controller ports right out of the box. the PS2, the PS1, the SNES, even the NES, you all had to buy adapters to get 4 controllers because they were 4-player games. They just weren't that many of them. The N64 was designed for 4 people right out of the gate, which meant you had Smash Bros, you had Super Mario, you had Mario Kart 64, and you have GoldenEye and Diddy Kong Racing. I think without GoldenEye, there wouldn't be. GoldenEye is in the long range of first-person shooters because people have been doing LAN parties with Doom since back in the day. But at least this time, you didn't have to have this big setup for playing with your friends, and I think that helped with the idea of you just have a console and you have a way to play with your friends. Which
I do think eventually someone does it, right?
Yeah.
Someone does the 4-player, the kind of co-op multiplayer that GoldenEye did. I do think that eventually someone does it, but I think GoldenEye accelerated something that people didn't quite realize at the time.
Yeah.
It started sparking an idea.
Sorry, sparks what?
Started sparking an idea.
Yes, I think so.
That's my puppy.
I would definitely say GoldenEye. It was definitely a catalyst for the future, and not just for online co-op, but also for death matches. Just like being able to set certain rules and how many times when GoldenEye comes up, you hear someone say no odd job, no golden gun. It's like ingrained in our brains at this point, even when you haven't played the game in over 20 years.
I don't know about that one. I do think there is something about it being. You are right about being 4-player because generally you've been designed for 2. So having it 4, just doubling the amount of players, that is basically like a LAN party. It's a personal LAN party. So while it wasn't online, I do think it helped bolster the numbers for online in the future. So you are ready to play with more people, and Halo had co-op split screen. So I'm sure that Smash Brothers, I think N64 was vital to multiplayer stuff growing. Yeah.
I really liked playing GoldenEye. I never played the campaign. I only ever played the multiplayer because I didn't have an N64, but my cousin did, and so I would play the multiplayer with him when I would go over to his place. That was quite. I remember that being a quite smooth game at the time. I really enjoyed that. You had the watch and the laser watch, and the odd job, and the golden gun. It was a good time.
Boss Beater Gaming on Twitter also asked us, what are your top 5 SNES games each of you would like to see have HD 2D remakes?
Well, let me just start this off by saying, what's an SNES?
Super Nintendo.
I'm kidding.
I probably should look at these questions before, if I'm being honest.
I will go first very quickly because some of these might even have them. I'm not 100% sure. I just picked the 5 that I've played at some point, even if not to completion. And they're Super Mario Kart, Super Metroid, Donkey Kong Country, The Lion King, and Star Fox.
They have all come out. All those games have come out in modern times, but none of them have been remastered or anything like that.
I don't think The Lion King
I'm still waiting
re-release.
It didn't just
collection.
You're right. You're right. It's part of the Lion King and the Aladdin one. That's right.
Star Fox. I'm still waiting for a modern Star Fox game.
Well, the last time they've tried a couple times, and Ben, I don't know if you've played the GameCube one where it was on Dinosaur Island. Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't very good.
Adventure. Star Fox Adventures was kind of Star Fox Assault was a little bit better, but still kind of And then Star Fox Zero, which was for the Wii U, had this crazy control scheme that no one liked. And the only other Star Fox game that we got in that era was Star Fox 64 3D for the 3DS, which was a remake of Star Fox 64.
Right, Star Fox 64. That was the one on the N64, right?
Yeah.
That's the one I played a ton. And I'm just saying, Nintendo, remaster that or remake that. Put it on the modern console. You got my money.
Nintendo is really bad. They're really bad about that kind of shit. What's it called? What's the Grand Zero? F-Zero.
Yeah,
F-Zero. The racing game, Captain Falcon. Mm-hmm. They have another racing franchise with a cool character that has been dead for 20 years.
The last F-Zero game that came out was for the GameCube.
Yeah, that's almost
And there's
20 years ago.
And there's the N64 and F-Zero is on NSO right now, and people have been saying, "Yo, this franchise is great. Where the hell is it?" So many times when new Nintendo Direct comes up, people have been like, the little prayer circles come out, and they're like, "F-Zero, bring back F-Zero."
They could easily brand, and like, there's no reason that there isn't a really easy remade just Star Fox 64 just in beautiful HD. Like just make the same game because that's the gameplay is good. It's fun. Like you're on the track and shit. Like that seems like easy money.
Well, actually, I lied because Nintendo did release a new Star Fox, and that was the official North American release of Star Fox 2 never came out in America.
Yeah. But it's an old game. But
that's why I did air quotes. But you're right. It's not an actual new game. It's just a game that never made it outside Japan. To answer the question, I interpret the question as what do I want to see as a HD 2D, kind of like what we see with Triangle Strategy and Octopath Traveler, whereas you have 16-bit sprites but with amazing HD backgrounds.
Well, remasters.
Yeah, like 2D HD or pixel remasters or something like that. One of my votes, and I have played this, is the Breath of Fire games. Mm-hmm. Those Capcom RPGs for the Super Nintendo that are very popular, and I would like to see some HD upgrades for that. Part of me wants to see Mega Man X in that style. I mean, I was also thinking Super Metroid because Super Metroid already an amazing game, but seeing like the pixels look a little sharper and the backgrounds be a little more vibrant would just be awesome. Like especially when you're in the water world and you see like the water swaying with you. Ooh, that'd be so good.
I'm looking at a list right now, and a lot of these games have either gotten just more sequels or remasters of some kind. The one that stood out to me that I just saw, I lost it. Super Mario RPG, because I was
gonna say that. Yes, Legend of 7 Stars.
Paper Mario, which is RPG like, but like Super Mario RPG is just straight up. It's like that's an RPG. Like, it's like Final Fantasy shit.
No, it was made by Square. It was made by SquareSoft.
Yeah, I would love for them to do another traditional hardcore Mario RPG, because even the Paper Mario games, they have reverted. Like they go away from the RPG shit. Now it's just like you're playing a Mario game. And I'm like, but I want to take turns. Let me take a turn.
Yeah, I would. If there's one thing I would think that definitely deserves a HD 2D remaster, it would be Super Mario RPG. And Nintendo and Square, they have a working relationship again. They're cool, so they can easily do this. But
they're making the Rabbids games and shit, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Ubisoft. Sorry, not Square.
Ubisoft. Yeah. I mean, there's like a bunch of games I would like to see, but most of them are RPGs. But I would definitely like to see. I think Super Mario RPG is like top tier. Like that deserves a HD 2D remaster.
The one that they did do a remake of that it's really good is Punch Out. The Wii Punch Out game, incredible game.
All right, I'm gonna move on to the next question. Cookie from Just a Little Podcast asks all of us: Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
It's hard. I like Star Trek, but like if I have a gun to my head, I know where I'm going.
I've watched way more Star Wars than I've watched of Star Trek, so it's just an easy Star Wars. Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation.
Ask me when I was a kid, probably Xbox, but
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Lord of the Rings.
At one point, it would have been before Crimes of Grindelwald. It would have been Harry Potter.
Yeah, when I was in elementary school, it would have been Harry Potter all the way.
I came dangerously close to getting a Harry Potter tattoo, and I'm glad I didn't, because that is one franchise. Not even because of the author; it's just one that I've strayed away from, and I'm glad I'm glad I didn't get that, because I'd be like, yeah, I like Harry Potter, I guess. I never want to have a tattoo where I just like something, because that's like, wow, what was the point of? Wow, what a waste of my life. So I'm glad I didn't get that wand like I was gonna get.
Okay. What is one of the boldest lies about nerd stuff you told as a child?
I'll be honest, I couldn't think of one for this one, because I didn't lie about give me one of your examples. Maybe I'll think of something.
Sure. Brandon, do you want to go first?
Well, I'd sat with this for a long time. I know I told one. I can't for the life of me remember it.
I thought of this question a while ago, so I racked my brain about it, and this is a one I like. Yeah, I did this. I definitely told a bunch of kids at school I knew what happened after the Frieza arc in DBZ. And the reason that happened is because there were random magazines that were released around that time. Trunks hadn't happened here in the States yet. Like, it was just the Frieza saga on loop on Cartoon Network. And those magazines had the information from Japan all the way up through GT. But I also wasn't like really reading them. So I saw an image of Gotenks way before I had any idea what that is or who that was or any reason to think I knew. And I said that it was Vegeta, and that Vegeta was going to transform to have purple and black hair and start wearing a vest that was going to be a form past Kakarot's. That's what I said.
Interesting.
That's a lie I told kids at school because I saw that image and I'm like, yeah, after the Frieza arc, Vegeta's going to get like part purple hair. He's going to get this whole new form.
Mustache.
I had a wait, Trunks' hair is purple?
Yeah.
Oh, darn. So I had an interesting there's an interesting memory you stirred up. It's not me. I had a friend, a good friend of mine that I would go to this daycare with. Gives you a sense of how long ago this was. Or it was a summer camp. And he told me he had seen GT. And GT hadn't been out in the States yet. And he was like, I have all the VHSs. I've seen all of GT. And we would play on the playground about what GT would be. And I would come up with bullshit because I'd never saw GT. And I was very honest about, like, I never saw GT. It was like, wow, I remember specifically one moment was like, you remember, wow, I don't know how you do it, but that's exactly what happens. So I called him on, I accidentally, because I believed him. I believed him. I called him on it. And he was like, oh, they fell behind my bookshelf. I was like, oh, we can get them. And then he finally came up to, he finally like told me the truth, and I hadn't seen it. But he told me that GT was real because then we went to the Dragon Ball Z website, which had been updated with GT because it was happening in Japan. And I had never been on that site before. Kids were crazy.
Ben, Ryan, did that stir up any ideas?
No, because I've always been the type of person where I'd rather have the knowledge than lie about it. That's just that's always how I've been. That's why, like, being a comic fan for all of the MCU has been really nice because, like, I don't have to lie that I've read all these comics because that's all I've done.
Sure.
I can't think of anything. I try not to lie, to be honest. I try to be good. I did steal $1 from this girl's wallet in the first grade, and I felt bad about it my whole life. So that's something I'll just tell you guys to get it off the chest.
No, I definitely, I know I lied to get attention.
I definitely did, because I was not. I mean, like, and I don't think this is kind of why my opinions on lying are really lax, because, like, I think there is such a thing as a harmless lie, and it's the kind of lie that I definitely told as a kid that I just don't remember anymore. And but I know that they existed. I know that I said them because I wanted the attention. I wanted to be the cool kid, but like I had no concept that knowing everything about whatever I lied about is not going to get me to be the cool kid. But like, that's just what I did as a kid.
Yeah.
If I did lie to anyone, I was lying to myself. That's for damn sure.
I certainly did that.
True.
Yeah, I don't think I lied to anyone about nerd stuff, but I definitely lied about me being into nerd stuff because, like Brandon knows, if
you still do.
My...
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I shouldn't have said that. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I mean, that's lying about nerd stuff.
Yeah,
saying that you're into it if you aren't.
Yeah, like because if you listen to my episode with Brandon on Conversation, back when I was in especially middle school, I was in my freshman year of high school, I was really trying way too hard to fit in with the cool kids.
You're Caleb in this season of Stranger Things.
What?
You're Caleb in this season of Stranger Things.
Lucas?
Yeah.
Lucas, sorry, who's Caleb?
I was like, who's Caleb?
That's his actor's name.
No, isn't Caleb the actor who plays Dustin?
I don't know idea.
Yeah. Either way, I was Lucas in the season of Stranger Things. I was trying way too hard to like fit in with the cool crowd, and even I was failing miserably at that at all sides, and even at home, like my brother would see me like watch my old Digimon and my old Pokemon VHS tapes, and he was like, "Why are you still watching this? You shouldn't be watching this anymore. Girls are never going to notice you."
Man.
So it was definitely a time, and it wasn't until I want to say like my second semester of my freshman year of high school where I finally I was still keeping it like suppressed in a way, but at least when I found my people, I was like able to fully talk about anime. I was fully able to talk about video games, how excited we were for Kingdom Hearts and all this other stuff. But then when I was with a different group of friends, zip, shut up.
I'm so happy we're in a place that's no longer the case.
Yeah, now it's like if you're a nerd, you are considered one of the cool kids, or at least no one messes with you. As far as I know, no one really gives a shit or messes with you. So I can walk down the street wearing my 1UP t-shirt, no one cares.
Looks like a 7-Up to me. Yeah, I guess like I've always, from I guess being an only child and just spending a lot of time alone, just developing, like finding out what I like and it's like sticking with it. I ran a monster club when I was in middle school, where I would just sit around with my friends after school and draw monsters on paper and show them to each other. Mm-hmm. That I could, if there was a cool club, I didn't know it existed. I didn't even consider it. Like I was like the girls in Turning Red. Like I am all about me and my friends. I don't give a shit what people think about me. And that's why I was extremely single all through high school. Because I was drawing monsters. Like, look, girls, like, look at this Ghidorah I drew.
My brother was very similar to Ben's. Like he was definitely of the opinion that, you know, in order for me to get the girl, I need to grow out of this stuff. I need to dress a certain way. I'll never forgive him for moosing my hair. Marc, do you remember when my hair was so crispy that it was just stuck in a one position going back? Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, I am kind of grateful that it trained my hair to be wavy and not curly. I did not appreciate having curly hair being Jewish, because that was just a stereotype I did not want to be a part of. But I'll never forgive him for just like every morning, just like making my hair the hardest thing just ever. That sucked.
And there are times my brother straightened my hair, and you can tell I have already pretty straight hair, but he like straightened it so I can have like the emo thing where it was like covering one eye.
Baby, my hair, it used to just be like this, baby. I get you.
Yeah, my brother did that a few times. And also I remember one time he was trying to tell me I need to wear skinny jeans if girls wanted to talk to me, and no matter how many skinny jeans he gave me, they would not fit. And
my legs are too thick for that.
You know what? I just realized that my family did influence my wardrobe. I don't know why we're talking about wardrobe, but real quickly, like I just had this thought that like, because my mom said your hair should be combed like your dad's, and my dad's 80, so like there's no way that was gonna fly. And so my brother was like, you gotta slick your hair back like you're a punk from the 80s. No, nowadays I just put on a graphic tee, and jeans, and I just get out of bed. I don't even do anything to my hair. I've had the same hairstyle since like college, since even like in high school, because like I don't want to do anything to this. I want the easiest thing quite possible to do, because I don't want anyone, nobody touches me anymore.
Yeah. No, I've in a similar way, like I've always been just like a t-shirt and jeans. Like I need to own a suit just in case I ever go anywhere fancy, but luckily no one invites me anywhere fancy, so I don't have to have, I don't, for that I'll just wear my long shirt, right? I gotta grow up eventually though.
This was wonderful because this really evolved from what was the lie you told as a child about your stuff, but this was all great.
We went from lies we told as child to childhood family trauma.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Next up, if you could make any video game mechanic functional in your real life, what would it be?
Prince of Persia's rewind time.
That's not bad.
Probably fast travel.
Why would you do rewind time and not just saves?
Because that's not how his powers work.
Right, sure.
And I'm going from a video game power, not a game that every single video game in existence has, which is a save feature.
Oh yeah, I'm talking like any mechanic that you can
functionally that's boring. Saving is games. I'm talking about like an actual like a portal gun. Like I thought we were going like in depth, not like
no. I mean you can answer it that way, because like what mine was saves feels like a pretty like standard easy answer to give. I kind of side with Ben. I'm tempted by fast travel. I think fast travel could be pretty cool. The only downside I see to it is that like there's no video game that I'm aware of where you're able to fast travel whoever's with you. So like everyone else would have to have been to that location once too for you all to fast travel there together.
The only game that I can think of is Marvel's Avengers. Because when one person teleports, sometimes you all have to travel together to get to the next spot.
Yeah. Because like I would love fast travel if that meant that like as long as I've gone to that location one time, I can go back there. That's brilliant. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
but I'd also want other people to have the ability to go with me.
It's like Elden Ring. Like you have to visit the catacomb first.
So I'm like, when I take that away, because like it's more important to me to be able to go there with people. If I strip down from that, to me, it's the giant inventory that you can't fathom or see. Basically having pockets into a dimension of some inventory box that you should not physically be able to carry, but nobody can see it because all the shit you could carry around. It's that or the magnetic back that Master Chief has and so many other characters do, where you can just like put shit there and take it down.
You just like in Cloud of Final Fantasy VII, where he just like puts his sword on his back.
Yeah. Fast travel's real tempting, and obviously the saves, but like I think I gotta go with like that massive inventory that takes up no space whatsoever.
You know what would be the absolute worst thing to have from a video game is a heads-up display telling you how much life you have, how much money you have, how tired you are at all times.
Yeah. I would not appreciate that. I would
shut up.
It'd only be good if like you could use that to like manage your health stats. Like, yo, man, you need to like really eat a fruit today. And it's like, oh, okay, my bad. Like never have cramps again, like know exactly what vitamins you need to put in your system.
You know what would be good? Maybe not like a heads up display, but like a status bar. Like say, you know how instead of like saying if you're like poisoned or if you're paralyzed, but kind of like saying it's like you're currently suffering from anxiety right now, or you're currently doing this. It's like I would like to know that, because I cannot tell you how many times I'm like throughout the day, or if I think I'm being sick or about to become sick or whatever, I don't know what it is. It's like, am I having a panic attack? Fuck if I know. I don't know what's going on. I would like to know. So having like a little status bar pop up, be like, hey, you have this affliction right now. Then I'll be like, okay, now I know how to take care of myself and how to fix it so I don't have that status effect anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Respawn.
So you would just like do crazy things and then be able to come back from them.
Well, because the thing is, how sad do I want to get today? The thing is, like, the only thing that has ever prevented me from, the kids call it unaliving yourself these days, but like is the fact that I can't come back, and I don't want to. I would like to come back. So like, it's Respawn is great. I'm not having a good day. I'm just gonna walk in front of a bus. Oh, I'm back.
Just get that out of your system.
Just get that out of my system. Exactly.
So it's kind of like how in Free Guy.
That's one way to deal with suicide ideation, I guess.
But the not so quite sad answer is
the fun answer.
The fun answer is breaking like barrels and getting money.
Yeah,
because I love every game. There's something that you break and you get some money in it, or like some items and shit.
No consequences.
And no consequences.
Pottery stores would be the. You see those comics online of Link going into a pottery store, smashing all the pots and taking all the money. Or even like Legend of Zelda, I take a sword and I swipe at grass and there's rupees and there's money there. It's like my debt problems are solved.
In this hypothetical situation, there are pots all along the road. You just break them and you get money. That's great. I love that.
For sure. Better if they just evaporate out of the environment, so there's no collateral damage or debris anywhere.
Exactly. It's pretty great, right?
That is pretty good. I mean, when I was thinking fast travel, my dumbass was like, yeah, fast travel, so that way I don't have to worry about going. I can go to work on time. It's like, oh man, I have to be at work.
But if there are pots everywhere, you never have to worry about working.
You're right.
That's true. But that becomes a full-time job. Then you're always breaking pots.
But come on, that's pretty great.
That sounds fun.
I mean, for Brandon, that's perfect. He gets to go and smash things. Nobody actually gets mad at him about it. He gets to just break it, and he gets money out of it.
What a life! That's like my golden life.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna move some of these around a little bit. I think I'm gonna take two out and save them for another time. They were two of my questions. I think I'm gonna save them for another time just because I want us to really talk about them, and I don't want to push Ben into his work time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to scrap those two, and we're gonna move on to
Yeah. Haven't done that yet.
When you were a kid, did you ever force a friendship with someone to get access to their nerd stuff, like games, toys, or something else?
No, because I felt like the person that people were forcing a friendship with. So I never liked the idea that there was nothing anybody had that I wanted outside of friendship. So but I always felt like it was the opposite. So that always kind of made me feel shitty. So
people always wanted your stuff.
Yeah.
Because you had all the stuff.
Yeah.
Let me think. I did grow up poor, but oh no, you know what? Okay. Indirectly I did. I had my best friend. She was friends with a rich kid. So anytime she went over there, she invited me because she knew that I liked video games and movies, and he had a wall screen in a theater room and like a bunch of theater seats. So I was like, Alex, anytime you hang out with this guy, I would like to be friends with him too. So indirectly, not through me being friends with him, through my friend.
Sure.
So it's like half a point. I almost got an Alienware laptop from that kid. I should have just been friends with him.
I didn't really have I had a friend in my life, but he did not go to the same school as me. So at school I had no friends really. I would end up getting invited to the parties where you have to invite all the kids because the parents make you. So and usually I would end up going partially because my parents wanted to try and get me out into social situations like that. But there was one kid specifically who I didn't force a friendship. I'll say that I didn't force the friendship, but what happened is that I didn't like him, but if a gathering was happening and I was invited, I would normally say I didn't want to go, but I would go because I would be able to play video games that I did not have at home at the time, because this was before I had my Dreamcast. And it's actually where I first played Sonic Adventure, and that made me talk to my parents about it and say I really wanted to get it, and ended up getting a Dreamcast as my first system. So I didn't force the friendship, but I went out of my way to go into situations I didn't actually want to be in to play video games I couldn't play.
I think what helped me was up until 6th grade, I was at a daycare center for a long period of the day because my mom worked. So if I wasn't at school, I was at a daycare center, and they had video games there. So the video games I didn't have until I was old enough to get them. I got systems when I got older, like middle school, high school. But when I was young, most of my time was at a daycare center. So I played a lot of SNES at my daycare center.
Right.
For me, thankfully, I didn't force this friendship because he had it. We were already friends prior, but when he got his, because I have a friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, and thankfully I'm still in contact with him to this day. He had the Sega Genesis, and of course he got Sonic 2. That was the first time I ever played the game, and that was the genesis of me becoming a huge Sonic fan because he had the Sega. And I will never forget because he lived in Marietta, and when my family moved out of Marietta, we would go back to visit a different family friend. And I can remember many times I would ask if he was at the house, and most of the time they weren't. And very few times I would actually go over and see him, but really so I can go over there and play Sega Genesis. And I will never forget one time his mom straight up asked me, "Are you here to hang out with your friend, or do you really want to play games?" And I straight up answered, "I want to play games," because I didn't have a Genesis. My parents knew I wanted a Genesis, but they never got me one.
You always lie.
No, but thankfully, years later, we were at my family friend's high school graduation party, and he shows up, and we haven't seen each other in years. We're catching up. And I finally tell him, I was like, "Look, dude, I still think about it, and I feel really bad about that one time I came to your house and I told your mom I was only there to play Sega." And he looked at me and was like, "Dude, don't worry about it. I would have done the same thing."
Sega's
a lot of things I still regret. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, and we reconnected that day. It was good. And also, I saw him again the last time we all went to San Diego Comic-Con. He was there, and I got to hang out with him for a hot second. It was great.
Lovely. Nice.
Cool.
All right. Zara asks, do you have a favorite segment or show out of all of Fake Nerd?
Yes.
Favorite segment or show?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite segment is the book club.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I think
Yeah.
for me it's the book club because it's getting me to read more and different things, and it's something where we're very equally sharing in our interests, and sometimes that's making us stretch outside our comfort zones on what we would read, and sometimes it's just good. It's just good times to be able to talk about it.
Outside of the book club, I would never have read some of the books that, for example, Sparks has picked. There's a lot of books that you've picked, Sparks, that they're not in my radar. I would never have seen them or read them, but because you picked them with the book club, I got to, and I feel like my life is more enriched because of it.
Oh, thanks. To be fair, like I pick those things because I'm also trying to push myself because of the segment on the show. And so I appreciate for that because like, I don't know if I'd pick some of those things and read them as quickly as I did without the show.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement. I love the book club. I'm glad we're still doing it. I definitely, depending on the week, Brandon, you're reading a lot of Thor right now, but I'm definitely the person who reads the most comics out of all of us. So it's nice that there's something, because there's so many books out there that we're not all reading concurrently. It's nice that every week there's something that we have something to talk about. Even because, like, we have a movie and stuff, but like the book club, it's there every week. Every week we talk about something new, and it's always a comic book, which is my favorite medium. So I'm glad we're doing it so many years later.
Same.
I don't know if it's I don't know if this counts as a segment of the show, but I really like it when we just like have this one topic and we just go off on it.
Sure.
Like I really love those because I feel like those are I don't get me wrong, I like doing the reviews. I also love the book club, but I feel like some of our best conversations and some of our best episodes come from when we have like a certain topic and we dive into that topic and we dig it for all it's worth. One of those topics that come to mind is our conversations about fandom.
Sure.
I love those type of those conversations. Or something I am looking forward to is when it comes out, or it's probably last week's episode, our Pixar conversation.
Sure.
Like when we dive is like, hey, what's our favorite, or what do we think about X, Y, and Z for Pixar films? So for me, I mean, I enjoy doing the reviews, but at the same time, the topics that we just like, hey, here's an idea for a topic, let's dive into this. Those are my favorite ones personally. Sure. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love the book club because I like really close second is the book club. As for all the things you guys said, like one of the books that comes to my mind immediately is March. I never would have read March. I probably never would have known that was a comic book. And the fact that it was written by a U.S. congressman, to me, puts it even higher up the echelon. Because when you hear book written by congressman, you think a long-ass autobiography or a long-ass opinion piece that's this thick with a ghostwriter, but you don't think comic book. And when he was around, Representative Lewis went to San Diego Comic-Con and was talking about it. And I think that's really cool. Because when you hear about congressmen do stuff, they are just like really all like, oh, hoity-toity. Oh, even though I'm talking to my delegates, I'm only talking to the ones who give me the money. He was with the people outside of his own bloody district, outside of his own bloody state, having a good time with the people.
Yeah, I think where the show has value for me in general is when it's why I like doing the news. It's why I like doing the topic. It's why I like doing the movie reviews. It's like why I like doing the book club. Book club is my favorite. That answer has not changed. But like getting to just gab, getting to talk, dive into a topic, dive into something is where for me the show has a lot of value because I really like, spoiler alert, I really like talking. So like I really like getting to do that with you guys and just kind of. And there's always a surprise doing like the news and being like, there's something that the news will be like inconsequential to me at first glance. And then it turns into a 30-minute conversation that could have been a topic in its own.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree, Ben. I think that's a really good point.
Zara also asks, what's your favorite episode you've ever recorded? That's a loaded question.
Oh my
gosh, really?
Okay, like I don't know how to not say last year's anniversary special.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna sidestep that one. It's hard stepping that one aside. It's honestly hard to not value the things that have brought the most enjoyment out of the four of us as friends. So it's hard for me to not say, well, after that is obviously the time Ben got 3 shirts for Christmas.
Pretty good.
Because like that's the things that's made us have a great time together, like as friends and bond. So it's hard for me not to pick those kinds of things.
It is like, I don't think. Oh, sure. There are episodes that I don't think are quite as good as they should be, but like, I think the most favorite, the most fun I've had are the annuals, the holiday annuals, those specials that we do. I think those are great. The Mike's Impossible movie trivia challenges, I think are just so much fun. Getting to do those. The Comic-Con, we did a Comic-Con panel.
Yeah.
Back in the before times. You're muted, Ryan.
Dogs. long ago.
Yeah, I hear you. I think if I'm extrapolating away from what I just mentioned, I really like our Last Jedi review because it always stands out to me that through discussion of it, Ryan changed his mind about the movie.
Yeah. I agree. It's hard to pick like an episode though, you know.
Yeah.
It's 6 years. It's a lot. And not just this podcast. There's a lot of shows.
You brought up like an episode that you know, we were all like really happy about. I think of our Endgame episode because it is a movie that was the end of like a saga, and it delivered. And us being not casuals, being so ingrained in this thing and achieving what it did. I never re-listen to stuff, but like, I was gonna say recently, but again, the pandemic. So 1 to 3 years ago, I took a look at our Endgame review, and like we were so high, it's insane. It's like this is the greatest thing ever made. Nothing can beat it. And obviously, like hype goes down after a while, but like that is still like that is an achievement of a movie. In a similar way that Avengers is like the start of something, that is the end of something.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like one of the things that I always look back on fondly are when we're all just like super high on a movie. Like when we're just like, it doesn't happen quite often, but when it does, it feels very good to just be like, this movie was great, and we're all like really just like, we just cannot stop talking about how great that movie was, because it feels like a high. It does feel like a high.
The thing that I love about this podcast is like we all have similar interests and similar like things we like about movies, but also we're very different. So I love having a conversation where we disagree on movies, because like it is nice agreeing, but if every week it was just I loved it, that would be boring. I don't like listening to those type of podcasts. I like discussion. So when a movie is so good that all 4 of us are like, yeah, this movie rules on every level, then I think it actually does. It is a movie that if it works for all 4 of us, then a movie actually is really good. That's the barrier. Like if every movie gets like, if whenever we review everything gets like a 9 from us, I'm like, okay, this is a real winner, because we are all different people, different perspectives. We like comic book shit, but we all value different things. So like Spider-Man, like I know a lot of people are starting to turn on that new Spider-Man movie. I still think that movie is incredible, and I know it's incredible because I think all you guys agree with me. So like, I'm not worried about Spider-Man, you know?
For sure. That's a great point.
Yeah.
I have 3 because over the years we've done more and more shows. Like if you asked me 2 years ago, I would have said our interview with Andrea Romano, still top tier, still one of the best interviews we've ever had. But now things that have happened since then, I would say another top is obviously our Los Angeles Comic-Con panel, where I smoked all 3 of you, and Sparks was saying I was going to get my ass kicked, where I was out for blood. That was fun.
You were just so cocky.
Nobody knew he wasn't going to do multiple choice.
It's true.
Mike would take points away from you because of how cocky you were.
Yeah, because I studied my ass off for that movie. I came for blood.
I studied really enough for multiple choice.
Yep.
Me too.
Yeah, but besides that, I would also say an episode that still rings in my mind. It happened right before the world shut down, and that would be when Michael and Riley from Downright Nerdy came over, and we had that long Star Wars conversation.
Yeah.
Just the fact that A, they are friends of ours, and B, we inspired them to start their own show. It was kind of surreal that these complete strangers that we only know through online interactions, our show inspired them to do their own show. And also, they were cool enough to come down to where we were. I mean, they're already down here for their own vacation, but for them to carve out time from said vacation to sit down in my house with my gardeners going all over the place and talk Star Wars for 3.5 hours was fantastic.
It is a bummer, man, that the pandemic happened, because like you still do the show with Cookie, Brandon, and like, you know, a bored and downright annoyed, bored and annoyed is on hiatus right now just because schedules are so weird. But like the community was like us and them, like everything was flowing and going good. And then the world stopped, unfortunately. I was like, oh man, like it was a good trajectory.
We had a lot of really good talks with like Ken Knapsack. We had a lot of really great interviews. Christopher Swindle,
Maurice,
Michael Maurice. Well, that was after the pandemic. During the pandemic,
get him back.
Man, me too. Like I wish we could. I wish schedules weren't so crazy. We could do so much more of that stuff, because I love getting to talk to these guys. I love getting to talk to Ken. I love talking to Michael Maurice and Christopher Swindle. We've been trying to get Christopher Swindle on again for a while. We've been trying to get Mike Matola on for a while.
And to be fair, Swindle left the door open, and I had to say we're gonna have to push that back because that was when my dad was sick.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have more of these people coming back on the show soon.
Yeah.
Good answers, friends. Good answers. One more question from my fiance, who asks, "What's your favorite thing about your fellow fake nerds?"
Okay, none of you can say anything about me.
I'm going to start, and I'll start by assigning a word to each of you, and then I will elaborate.
Oh no. I'm scared.
Okay. So for Ryan, I'm going to say knowledge.
Oh. No.
For Ben, I'm going to say enthusiasm. And for Brandon, I'm going to say passion.
I'm not joking. Two of those three words were the same ones that I was.
So like what I love about doing this with Ryan is that Ryan brings so much wonderful knowledge to the table, whether that's things that he just feels or thinks on his own, or things he's able to like absorb so much more discussion content than I ever can. So he's able to bring so many perspectives and things that he's already thought about to the podcast. And I always appreciate being fed that. Ben's never unenthusiastic to be here, even if he's sleepy. So, I mean, that's always wonderful. Ben's always willing to go the extra mile to just like have a good time. Ben, I really value that about you. I'll give you shit all the time, but like, I only give you shit because I know you can take it.
Years and years of practice, unfortunately.
But genuinely, like Ben is the one who will. I'm going to open this like it's the beginning of a heavy metal song. That's how I'm going to start this podcast episode, and Ben will do it, and that's really nice. I always love Ben's enthusiasm, especially when it's something you really want to talk about. And Brandon's got passion. Brandon, none of this would be happening without Brandon's passion. That's just true. Like Brandon has a passion for wanting to discuss these things, even when it gets a little difficult for him to do so, because he has to share his opinion and put it out there and let it be observed. He can't help himself because he's very intrigued and engaged in what we have to say and what he has to say. That passion for it makes all of this possible.
True.
Screw you.
It's my turn now. I'm actually going to leapfrog off what Spark said about you, Brandon, because doing this podcast over the years, you've changed, not in a bad way, in a good way. You're so much more open and honest about not just the things you like, but what you're going through and how that impacts the things that you're talking about. And I think that's really important. Like you talking about the Jewish stuff with Moon Knight, something the three of us probably wouldn't focus on as much. And I think that is an important thing to think about because representation matters, even if it's something we don't think about at all times. So I really appreciate you always being firm and being very much passionate about the things you like. And I'm so glad, again, that I bought you those Star Trek DVDs because now you love Star Trek again, and it's all because of me.
That's actually very true.
Ben, I love your enthusiasm, even if it's for things that you don't fully know of. And I don't mean that, again, as a negative. Like, you are just someone who you are glass half full, and mostly at all times, except for like you talk about some sad stuff, but like you are very much someone who can like just be happy and be positive. And and I love being around you, especially when we get to talk about video games, because this is a podcast where we mostly focus on movie, comic, TV stuff, but we do get to talk about video games here and there. And I'm really glad that you do have an avenue now where you can actually, where video games is like more of your focus than maybe the comic stuff is. So it's really nice that you have an avenue that I can hear you talk about the shit you do know about. Because like you might not know as much about Star Trek or like Iron Man or something, but you fucking know a lot about video games. And even I, someone who knows a lot about video games, don't have that because I spread myself to everything. So like it's really nice that like I have someone I can be like, I don't know this, I bet Ben does. Sparks, you're the nicest, sweetest person I've ever met in my life. You honestly have saved my life. So I don't know how much more I could say more than that. You literally have saved my life.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
Oh man, what was your fiance's question again? I forgot.
What's your favorite thing about the fellow fake nerds?
This is the gushy part of the episode.
Yeah, this is the gushy emotional bit of the show. I'm gonna start with Brandon. Brandon, as you know, shut up.
I can't take this anymore.
Too bad. That's why I'm doing you first. Obviously, Brandon was the person when I met him way back in CSUN all those years ago. Just hanging out with this guy was obviously the biggest blessing of my college, one of the biggest blessings of my college career, to be perfectly honest, because I met someone who didn't shame me for my interests, someone who introduced me to new things, someone who's like the person who told me that Mark Hamill was the voice of the Joker was him. I never knew that. And through talking and interacting with him, I got to meet the two of you. So really one of the best things I love about working with Brandon is that he's one of the guys that I'm very close to, and also the person that I can just like, even if it's not about nerd stuff, I can just sit back and we could just like bullshit about whatever things that are in our lives, things that have to do with the podcast, things that don't have to do with the podcast, things that we can just like, we send each other funny ass memes on Instagram just because like, hey, this is funny, so he's gonna like this. So one of the things I do love about doing the show with Brandon is that he is the one who knows what he wants to do with the show. And I really appreciate that, because if I was in charge, I don't know what the fuck I would be doing, to be honest with you. I would have no structure. I'd be like, whoop, out the window. So I
check out Basement Arcade pause menu here on the YouTube channel.
That has some structure every once in a while. I did listen to that Miles Morales, by the way, Mr. Facelift or Upgrade.
That's a very good opening.
That was a good opening, but I love doing the show with Brandon because he knows what he wants the show to do. He knows what he wants the show to be, and he has never strayed from the path of we do this for us. We do this to have fun. We do this because we want to. So that's what I love about doing the show. I'm doing the show with Brandon. What I love about doing the show with Sparks is that he keeps us on the straight and narrow. And what I mean by that is that I would have not understood or heard about the things going on in our political or social sphere without him. As I'm not very politically inclined, I see the stuff on the news and I'm like, man, that's sad. And I don't have much to say about it because I just don't have much to say about it. Whereas talking with Sparks, he'll tell me why things are like this. He'll show me examples of why things are like this. He'll give me historical reasons and historical events of like things that are going on. But at the same time, he's also not afraid to have fun. He'll hit me up as like, hey, you should probably buy the Sonic the Hedgehog Blu-ray because it looks like something you know. And yes, he throws some shots at me every once in a while. Sometimes with sports, or the time when he famously coined my nickname, which hasn't been used for a while, Nostalgia's Bitch. But it's never out of a place of malice. And when he does get me for like Christmas or for whatever, it's out of a place that's a deep cut, but also it's out of a place of true friendship and for having fun. So that's one of the reasons why I love doing the show with Sparks. And now finally for Ryan, my God, I thought I was in a walking encyclopedia, but you, my dude, holy shit. All three of you have introduced me to comics and into stories that I never would have found out. But definitely, ever since meeting Ryan, I've gotten the itch to read more Doctor Doom. I bought Infamous Iron Man at conventions because of Ryan. I started. We were doing it for the show, but it was thanks to Ryan. It's like, hey, you need to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. Now it's one of my favorite animes of all time, and I still need to watch the movies, which will happen, I promise. And
you're gonna have to.
I know I'm going to have to. And one of the things I can't wait to do is when I go to finally do make the trip to Japan, I'm going to be looking far and wide for just Eva gacha machines so I can get Ryan a bunch of Eva gachas just because I know he's gonna love it. I'll probably get all of you guys gacha toys. Don't worry. But
actually, can you get me that Mechagodzilla Evangelion figure? That'd be great.
That shit looks so good.
I did see that. That's not fair. But what I love doing about this, what I love doing the show with Ryan is that he is just so knowledgeable about things that I quote him most of the time when my friends come to me. It's like, hey, what's going on so and so? I quote them what Ryan told me. I paraphrase it, but because when we're watching comic book films, it's like Ryan knows all the stuff. Like earlier, he said it when Thanos appeared on screen. I know who the hell Thanos was. I even turned to Brandon. I was like, who is that? He's like, I have no idea. I'm like, is that the guy from the old McDonald's cartoons? I don't know what's going on.
Also, I'm pretty sure I said that was Thanos. I knew that was Thanos going in.
Oh yeah. I think you were like, who's Thanos? Is like, I'll tell you, like some really big bad. I don't know, but thanks to Ryan and him telling me about like, hey, here's the books we should read about this guy. Here's the books that will enlighten you in a way that you have a better understanding of the character. So it's for that knowledge that I love doing the show with Ryan with 7 N's.
Yeah.
And also it's really fun every time I go to Starbucks and he says that. It's hilarious.
For the audio listeners, Ryan, we have our little names on the side of our screens, and Ryan's has 7 N's. Okay, my turn. Real quickly, I just want to say thank you for all the kind words you guys said to me, but this show is not possible without you guys. Ryan,
hey,
there's been a lot of talk about your knowledge, which you bring a lot of it, and I love it. But one of the things that I desperately value is how you push me and the show.
Oh,
You push me to read more, to get out of my comfort zone. Not in the same way that Sparks does when it comes to like the book club and things, but like I would not read X-Men if it wasn't for you. For example, like I wouldn't, and my life is better because I did.
yeah.
And your passion for all the stories that you love. I wouldn't watch Ava if it wasn't for you. Like honestly, like these things I have a passing interest in. I am reading Thor because of you. Like that's the thing. Because you are so passionate about these things, because you keep talking about how great these things are, how wonderful these are. I want to get into them. I want to be on the same page as you, want to be on the same level as you, to be able to talk to them about you. The other thing is like, which one of you guys said that? Ben, you said that the reason why I'm always pushing that this show needs to. We need to remember that this show is always for us. It's not fun if it's not for us. The reason why is because that's actually Ryan's philosophy. The very early days, Ryan said to me, we got to do this for us. We got to do this for us. And that was something that I had a hard time adopting. Sorry. It was something I had a hard time adopting, but it finally really drilled into my head. And that has been my philosophy ever since. The show has to be for us. And that came from Ryan.
Love it. Love it.
Sparks.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
I mean, you've been my best friend for like 15, 16 years now.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Long road.
It's been a while.
I don't know what I can say that I haven't already said to you in our life together, but maybe I just don't even talk to you anymore. But like the thing is, like, Ryan mentioned that he appreciated how much more open I've become with talks of my mental health and with talks like my Jewishness. And I'm really glad that's become a positive. I was really worried that wasn't. It's been kind of eating at me, but I'm really happy to see that has been considered a positive. And the thing is, the thing I've been most valuing about you, Sparks, lately is your stability. You have become a very stable point of this podcast for me. You took the reins on this episode. I've been so stressed and busy trying to create a life that I can work my own schedule and actually get paid to do it. That so many things have just left my mind. It has been I've just been so distracted, and you are the one who keeps being like, hey, remember, this is coming up. We should start planning this. It's been such a help. And it's been such an, I just want you to know that it's been greatly and greatly appreciated. That I may be the board, as you said last, but like you have definitely become a kind of de facto leader in my own, as I've been kind of lost. And I appreciate that.
You do absolutely help with the scheduling, making sure who's doing what they were doing. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
And Ben, well, I mean, what can I say other than I love your knowledge of Stephen King?
God damn it.
Your Stephen King knowledge.
Oh man, we almost didn't do it for
beyond compare.
For 6 goddamn years.
It's been a while since we've said that.
It was it was when the first It movie was coming out.
The funny thing is, like, we're gonna get to like the 10-year. We're gonna make that joke, and Ben will have had the time. He could have become a Stephen King aficionado.
At this point, I'm just not doing it out of sheer spite. But
I couldn't let the whole anniversary go without saying it. I just couldn't.
Ben, I really want you to engage in Stephen King material because I want you to come to us with a topic all about how The Stand is essentially Lord of the Rings.
But yes, realistically though, I'm glad that joke landed. I thought of that like 5 minutes ago. I've been waiting.
Honestly, I forgot about it the second you said that. I was like, oh no, that's still a thing.
I couldn't let the whole anniversary go. But what my real answer is your drive. I've talked to you a lot about Basement Arcade and how Basement Arcade paused menu and how proud I am of the show and of you. You won that award. That's all on you. That's all on you. You come to the show with a goal. And I always got to remind you, it's for us, and you never forget that. But you are so determined to make this the show, Basement Arcade pause menu, your writing, that is not even a doubt in your mind that is what you are meant to do. And seeing that drive bring you to this show every week, to Basement Arcade pause menu every time you do it, to all the shows that we do, is wonderful. And I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Love.
That was wonderful, guys. I'm real proud of everybody for that. We're friends. We all love each other. It's a real thing. We do. We're getting towards our end, but we're going to do one new segment, which is brand new and something we're going to continue to do for our annuals going forward, which is we are going to attempt to predict our top 10 for the year based on what we've seen so far in these first few months and what's still to come. Then you'll be able to check in on our wrap up at the end of the year and find out if we were right. Who would like to go first?
It'll actually be the beginning of next year.
Right.
I shall go first.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Because I am pretty confident. Half my list is stuff that's already come out. Half the list is I think will be in my top 10. But I am confident in the first half of my list because I know who I am. So the first half, these are not in order. I'll put them in order at the end of the year. It's The Batman, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Elden Ring, Turning Red, and Multiverses. Those are the 5 things that I've done this year that I know will be in my top 10 somewhere down the road for sure.
I am so thrilled to hear Turning Red is in that list.
Bro, I cannot wait to talk about that on the podcast.
I'm so now that I know how much you like that, I'm so sad you missed that episode.
Me too. Boy howdy. So the other 5 that I have, I looked down, movies, comics, or not comics. I didn't look at comics because there's too many comics. Movies and games. So I got Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm really confident it's going to be a better Ragnarok because it's Taika just doing exactly what he's doing. I got Nope. by Jordan Peele. I got my only game on here besides Elden Ring, Midnight Suns. That's the XCOM tactical Marvel game that's coming out in a couple months. I got Bullet Train, which is that super cool Brad Pitt ensemble Bullet Train movie. And then I got Avatar. The water. I put Avatar the water movie because I'm not doubting James Cameron. I think it will be a better movie than Pocahontas in Space. I think it'll be a better story. So if the story is already better, it's a better movie because it's visually going to be the greatest thing of the year. There's no doubt. So I put Avatar.
I'll go ahead. I did put mine in the order I suspect that they might end up in. I'm sure it will change and it will be wrong. I'm quite confident about number 1, and everything after that is like, we'll see. There's so, even as Ryan was naming things, I'm like, shit. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is going to be a weird year, but I'm trying to predict off of like what's coming and like my highest hopes of them, the ones that are coming, landing.
Yeah.
So my number 10 is Halloween Ends. I really hope that the final Halloween in this trilogy ends up on this list. I want it to be that good.
Me too.
My number 9, if things keep on the track record that they are right now, is Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Oh.
Yeah, it very well may do it. It very well may clear that bar.
Did you see the latest episode?
Yeah.
Oh.
Next up is The Batman at my number 8. I'm very confident the Batman's going to end up in this list. It might move around. We'll see. Just above it at number 7, Knives Out 2. I have a hard time believing Knives Out 2 isn't going to end up here. Number 6, wildly, is Elden Ring.
You're going to come back around on it, baby.
Well, I think it might end up there. We'll see. Number 5, because I want it in my heart so bad, is Lightyear. Yeah, I really hope so. Number 4, because I know what that story is Chainsaw Man.
Oh.
That anime is coming, and I am hype as hell.
I didn't look at animes thing.
My number 3 is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. My number 2 is Peacemaker.
Oh, I forgot about Peacemaker. Shit.
Yep. And my number 1 is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah.
Ben, you want to go next?
Although I have to mix something because I totally forgot about
I don't even know what I'd replace now. This is tough. I hate
as of right now, I'm pretty sure I know, like, without a fraction of a doubt, I know what my number 1 and my number 2 are. My number 2 is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Just because I left that theater so excited, so happy, so relieved that we got an amazing, well, to me, it was an amazing film. Still a good film. But as a Sonic fan who has been through so much shit, that was something to be excited about. I'm super stoked for 3 after that tease. I'm just ready. My number 1, what do you think it is? The Ring! The Elden Ring. Elden Ring is just so... I put 129 hours into Elden Ring. I'm not done. The mind map is still not fully full yet. I have no desire to go out and buy another PlayStation 5 game. I did buy another PlayStation 5 game, Back 4 Blood, just because.
But it was against your will.
Well, also there was like a really good sale on it, and Sparks would twisting my arm. But outside of that, I can't think of another PS5 game. I want another PS5 game. I want a few PS5 games, but right now, Elden Ring is taking up so much of my time. It was hard for me to carve out time for Kirby and Forgotten Lands, which is on my list. I'm thinking Kirby and Forgotten Lands is a fantastic Switch game, and I can't see another Switch game topping it unless it comes out this year. But as a brand new game, it's fantastic. So Kirby's down there, but from the rest on, they're probably going to be on my list. I just don't know where exactly. And this is from here on, it's in no particular order, but obviously the Batman. How can you not? I have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness on here. I absolutely loved that movie. That was so much fun. The visuals were fantastic. How can I not? And I had actually swapped out Turning Red for Peacemaker.
Yeah, tough.
Turning Red's good.
If you put a gun to my head, Turning Red to Peacemaker, I'd probably just kill myself. I love Turning Red so much. I had to take off Avatar for Peacemaker. Because it's December. It's far away. Peacemaker's too good, man.
Yeah, I already put down. All right, so I already talked about Kirby. So Kirby and Forgotten Land is on there. I put Top Gun. on my list. I had a blast with Top Gun. That
This
was
is a good year for movies, dude. It's the first half of this year, excellent.
This could be recency bias because we just saw Top Gun recently, but Top Gun was amazing. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
One I'm really excited for, and I can't see it not making my list just because of how hyped I am, is Thor: Love and Thunder. The second that first trailer dropped with Sweet Child of Mine and all the visuals, I really need to get on reading the Thor books to get to the Mighty Thor. I'm very far behind. Brandon's doing a much better job with it than I am, but thank God I got Marvel Unlimited, baby.
I'm on volume 4.
There you go. Hell yeah. Luckily, I got a month. Also, and once again, it might just be recency bias because I'm really hot on it. It's season 4 of Stranger Things.
I forgot about Stranger Things and I just watched it. It might be on my top 10. It might be. Some of these other things aren't as good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Stranger Things is going to be on there. It might be lower on the list, but as of right now, it was really hard for me to not finish the season or finish the first part of the season last night because it was around like 3 a.m, and I had to wake up at 9 so I can make it to my therapist appointment on time. So, I was like, how long is the final? Is episode 7? Oh, that's an hour and 40 minutes. I got to go to bed. That's a movie.
Run up that hill and make a deal with God.
Yeah. I've been hearing that on TikTok recently. And last but certainly not least, another film I am super excited for, Lightyear.
Hell yeah.
Lightyear. The more I see those trailers, the more I'm like, this movie's going to be fantastic. Just for sure. Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear. He sounds amazing. Just the whole plot of the film. You can have that. You have a man out of time kind of, and just, it looks so good. And
wait, are you telling me Chris Evans is a man out of time again?
Oh shit, he wasn't.
If I had a nickel for every time Chris Evans played a man at a time, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it is weird.
So yeah, that's my I guess top 8 because I know what 1 and 2 are.
Sure.
I mean, something really big has to happen for me to knock out Sonic for number 2, but I know for a fact as of right now, Elden Ring is number 1. It's game of the year it's been game of the year for me already. It's just, I'm having an absolute blast. And the reason why I'm putting it that high is not to go into technical speak or mechanic wise. It's the fact that when I come home from work or I have a day off and I have say chores or tasks ahead of me, I do those as quickly and as efficiently as possible to get them done sooner so I can go straight to my couch, turn on the PS5 and play Elden Ring.
Get to those lands between.
It's the best live service game that's not a live service game.
For sure.
It has more people sticking with it than most live the Avengers is dying compared to Elden Ring, which is technically a single player game, which is bananas.
I mean, the only thing I'm going to probably do today is when I get home, turn on the PS5 to go to a different game is for Fortnite, just so I can buy the Pac-Man pack. Then once that's done, I'm going back to Elden Ring.
And finish Stranger Things.
I have to finish Stranger Things. That's the big thing. That's the big thing I'm not going to stream tonight because I got to finish Stranger Things. But yeah, I'm going to just turn on my PS5, get the Fortnite stuff, and then go back to finish Stranger Things.
I think it's funny because I think we all agree. I don't know if it's on your list, Brandon. We'll find out. That God of War isn't on any of our lists because it's not coming out this year.
Oh, it's not coming out this year.
No.
Everyone, man, that director said it's coming out this year, and I just do not believe this.
I called it at the end of last year. That game was getting pushed.
The thing is, the state of play just happened, and nothing showed.
Yeah.
It's not coming out this year.
We'll talk about that on pause menu on the podcast. But right now, Brandon, I want to hear your predictions for your top 10.
I forgot about the Batman and Lightyear, so they're not on it.
Again, there's a lot of good stuff.
I can't wait to hear this.
Okay, this is not in any particular order.
Okay.
But I projected. I tried to figure out what this could be, and I don't think I got it. Downton Abbey: A New Era.
All right.
I really like that movie. I do think it ends up on my top 10. I just don't know where.
Gotcha.
Top Gun: Maverick.
Nice.
That movie made me believe in movie magic again. I watched the movie and I was like, I just watched magic. This is bad. This is what people used to say when they talked about movie magic. I just watched that again.
I love that.
Oh, real quick, you said Top Gun Maverick. I watched an interview with Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell, that's his name?
Yeah.
He threw up upside down all into the cockpit when he first started to do training, and he thought it was just very funny.
Prey.
Ooh,
Yeah.
spicy.
I forgot about Prey.
I thought about it.
Yeah.
thought about it. There's a lot of shit that I thought about that's probably going in honorable mentions. I thought about Our Flag Means Death because I haven't watched it yet, but I was like,
Oh, Brandon, that's definitely in our top 10. Oops. Yeah. This is like the best year for entertainment.
I'm really excited for Prey. It's Daniel Trachtenberg, who I really like. It's a Predator movie set in the past, which my thing is like, give me a genre film set in the past. Hell yeah. I'm so stoked. And the fact is, like, we've talked about this. I think there is more potential in the Predator franchise at this point than in the Alien franchise. And like, I'm seeing that potential this year.
1000%.
I'm seeing that potential this year and I'm excited.
I can't even imagine if this is the first step, like, okay, it takes place in like 1600s, 1700s and gets Native Americans. Imagine like a 9th century, like English Viking, like team up versus Predator.
Get Robert Eggers. Get Robert Eggers over here. Have him make a Predator with the Northmen.
Samurai era. Go 1,000 years. Have Egyptians fight Predators. Like,
yeah,
the craziest thing ever. Do it.
You're talking the dream.
Alien versus Predator. The coolest bit was the flashback when they were in the where were they?
The Mayan
Antarctica?
The
civilization.
Mayans.
Mayan, yeah.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think that movie rules. That movie rocks my socks. I'm just so jazzed about that movie. I came out of that movie being like, this is oh my god, I love this movie so much. Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Hell yeah.
It might be the best first season of any Star Trek show ever. This is an incredible season of television that every episode I'm just buzzing about. I think the show is incredible. And the fact that Sparks said it's going to be on his top 10, I could faint. Gods. I never thought I'd
a very good chance.
Like, it's just the latest episode had Pike in the green tunic that Kirk used to wear, and he looked so silly, and I loved it. I think I know what would probably replace this. So, like, having remembered a movie, I don't know if this actually ends up, but I said Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The fact that I finally got to see a great video game movie, a movie that unequivocally is just like, you did it. You crazy sons of bitches, you did it. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Prehistoric Planet.
Nice. Cool.
Really, really like that. I saw a Carnotaurus try to mate with little tiny arms and just kind of flop it around like this, and it was so funny. And it just like the CGI is incredible. Everything about that show was just super cool to watch. I even got to use some of that knowledge when someone was like, "Oh, why is the dinosaurs in the snow in the Jurassic World Dominion?" I was like, actually, Prehistoric Planet suggests that dinosaurs did live in the snow. It's a cool show. I liked it a lot. Our Flag Means Death.
Mm-hmm.
I did not forget Our Flag Means Death. I knew from the get-go that needed to be on my top 10 because that show rules.
Sorry, Bullet Train.
Sorry, Bullet Train. Yeah, right.
That movie's coming. Oh, that movie sounds so good.
Our Flag Means Death is a wonderful progressive show that those bastards knew exactly what they were doing when they waited until Pride Month to renew it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They knew it. They knew exactly what they were doing. Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Peacemaker might be the best show of the year. I really loved it. It's incredible. Definitely on my top 10. And then Knives Out 2. Knives Out 2 is one of my most anticipated films of the year, of the last 4 years that I've been waiting for this movie.
I can't wait to be on the other end of the year and see where we all end up.
Yeah.
Me too.
I forgot about Knives Out too because there's like literally not a lot of information out right now.
Right.
I mean, like, we know like the cast and stuff, but like Thor, I have a trailer. A lot of these things I like.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, out of sight, out of mind. Damn.
Yeah.
Man, this might be like the best at the end of this year. If all of these movies that we've talked about that we haven't seen are as good as they are,
we might have to do a top 15.
This is going to be this is already a crazy good year for movies. I was talking about this with Zara. This was like, I haven't seen Morbius. So like my run of movies has been really good. I've come out of the movie theater going like, this is great. I had a great time with this movie. This run of so far this year for entertainment has just been stellar.
And we avoided Fantastic Beasts, so we're still great.
So we're still great.
You know
So
what film I totally forgot that I was going to put on my top 10, but I just now remembered about it?
Morbius.
The Northman.
Oh, yeah.
I really like it. With the other movies coming out, like I honorable mentions. I don't know if it hit the top 10 to be honest.
I think it might. Yeah. I think it might hit honorable mention for me.
It's definitely going to be in my honorable mentions. I really, really enjoyed it, but like this is going to be a hell of a year to talk about some of the entertainment because
like,
there's just a lot of great shit.
Yeah, unless like Thor and Nope and like the Midnight Suns game.
A lot of promising prospects would have to tank.
Yeah.
For this to get shaken up in a big way.
It just goes to show. Good year.
Cool. That's it for our anniversary celebration, friends. We can do a brief kind of looking forward to what's going on, but I know Ben has work coming up and needs to eat. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. Basically, we're looking at getting book club going again. We're looking at getting some more Basement Arcade out to you. There's a lot of stuff that we want to do coming. This is going to be a summer of games. There's going to be a Spooktober down the road that I'm very excited about. I want to start working on as soon as we can.
I'm not.
There's more pause menu. You should be. It's going to be great. Did you watch that Dead Space trailer?
No.
Oh my god, dude! The Callisto Protocol is gonna f you up. Oh man.
There's all kinds of great stuff on the horizon. Conversations in the works to come back. Ben's doing a great job with pause menu. We have intentions for what we're going to do very soon with a pause menu discussion for Ryan, Ben, and I to do together. Brandon, if he wants to as well.
Yeah.
And Fake Nerds Watch. There's so much Fake Nerds Watch going on right now. You're going to see a lot of Fake Nerds Watch from us.
Quite honestly, because there's so much Fake Nerds Watch, we're not getting book club off the ground quite so soon.
Book club's going to take a moment, but we're going to get it back on the table.
There's looking at like the stuff coming out, like we're going to be playing Double Duty soon, which I'm not mad about because like I'm really excited about Obi-Wan and I'm excited about Ms. Marvel. Got a couple of great movies. Looks like
there are a lot of things happening. I will get that second season of conversation out this year. It's just been slow going. I apologize for that. But there are a lot of things that are, let's say, defunct that this year I would like to see return. And if it is possible, it would make me very happy.
Defunct land.
So why don't we get out of here then?
All right. Sounds good.
Unless everyone's got like a thing that they're like, I'm so excited to talk about this coming up. Unless they want to say that.
I'm just excited to record more Basement Arcade boss menus. I just haven't done it because my schedule sucks.
I'll say real quick because when this is dropping, what's going on around it, you should have just had last week. Our Fake Nerds Watch for the first 4 episodes of Stranger Things will be out. Sorry, not first 4, 7. First 7 episodes of Stranger Things will be out. Upcoming very, very soon is our Fake Nerds Watch for the first 4 episodes of The Boys. Our Fake Nerds Watch for episodes 3 and 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Next week from this will be our Fake Nerds Watch for episodes 1 and 2 of Ms. Marvel. We'll do the last 4 episodes of The Boys later in the month. We'll finish off Obi-Wan Kenobi later in the month. We'll keep doing Ms. Marvel 2 by 2. What's up, Ryan?
Ryan from the Fake Nerd Podcast here. Is Ms. Marvel this week?
No. Ms. Marvel's this coming week.
So we
drops
have Obi Wednesday.
Drops on June 8th.
So we have Obi Wednesday.
Ms. Marvel's on Wednesday too. Ms. Marvel's on Wednesday too.
Bro, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Too much.
All right. So guys, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, everyone. Thank you to all of you who have been with us for however long as you've been with us. If you've been with us since the beginning, gods, tell me who you are because I'll give you a medal.
Thank you to everyone who sent in questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you, friends.
Definitely. Thank you to all of that. Thank you to everyone who watches all the shows. Like the show, I constantly say it is for us, but a large part of this is that because anybody is willing to listen, it makes it all the better. Mm-hmm. And I'm really happy that we're here, that 6 years later, we're still doing this. Yeah. Okay. So why don't I just get some stuff out of the way, guys? This is 6 years. This is not the end of the podcast. However, might be the beginning of the end. We don't know. You don't know. It won't be.
I don't think it's the beginning of the end.
But we got tons of stuff going on, such as Sparks talked about with all the Fake Nerds watches. Certainly, there's going to be other shows coming out by the end of the year. Basement Arcades, tons of cool stuff, and you can find all of that on our YouTube channel at Fake Nerd Podcast on YouTube. And if you're watching this on the video, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and you can get all those shows. They're all there. There are also some of the more audio feeds, which you can find just by typing them in on your little device there. We also have a TeePublic and a Patreon. If you'd like to support us financially, you can check out those, which are linked below, most likely. And you can find them on our website at fakenerdpodcast.com, which is also probably linked below.
Nice.
What else do I do? Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you to all of our collaborators over the years. Every single one of you. There's a lot of people that I just cannot name. It's too many. But you guys are honorary members of this podcast in my mind. We love you. We want a lot of you back on. We can't wait to get some of you guys on. Just to name a few. I've named a few on this show. I don't need to do that again. But Jeremy Vellucci did not get a name on this episode, but he does all of our music. And maybe there's something more coming from Jeremy Vellucci on this network this year. It's the 6th anniversary. I can tease something.
You can tease something.
I can tease something. You can check that out. You can check out his stuff on Instagram at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards, or his podcast, which he does have a podcast called Suburban Proctologist over on iTunes, and you can find that on Instagram and Facebook as well. Mike Patola, we've mentioned Mike Patola a few times, but he just done a few logos for us, and he's done some great collaborations with us. Once again, another honorary member of this podcast, I feel. You can find him at Mike Patola on Instagram and TikTok. All of us, Fake Nerd Podcast, on all the social medias. You can find us wherever we are, Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. That can get in touch with us personally. I'm a BC McClure, and of course, I do a bunch of stuff on this on the internet where I'm trying to create a life for myself where I don't have to go to an office. You can check out my work on Screen Rant, where I write a ton of lists. The list that's probably already up by now is probably an Orville list. I wrote an Orville list. Shoot, Jurassic World Dominion is already out by the time this episode is out. So I've got a couple of Jurassic World Dominions episodes, articles that are coming out that are dropping around the time of that movie. So check those out. You can find that there. I also do a series on atomicgeekdom.com where I talk about some Infinity Saga. We talked about the MCU on this podcast. I do a series called Revisiting the Infinity Saga, the 50 most defining moments of the MCU. I'm on number 37 by the time this comes out. And finally, I edit kaijuRamamedia.com. I put up a few pieces. I edit a few pieces that go up there. Check out that website. And Ben?
Yeah. Well, you can find me asking Brandon if when we started this 6 years ago, we could make it this far at BenMag27 on Instagram and Twitter, and also on TikTok. I always find a way to put it in there. And you can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, and GoNintendo.com. Also, sometimes catching me stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/BenMagnet27 on Tuesdays and Saturday mornings at 2:00 a.m.
In the morning.
Sparks.
You can find me just super excited for all the juicy content that's coming your way at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Ryan?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at DJ Tony Snark 616. That's on Twitch and YouTube and Instagram and Pornhub. What?
Prawnhub, you mean?
Prawnhub. Oh, there's a callback.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and until year 6 is over, stay fake nerds.